is suing his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, for car damage and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning, Kevin.
Yeah, case number 1182, Carter versus Sperling.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Carter, you and Miss Sperling have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
And based upon the calendar year, that child must be a little over a year old now.
Yes, ma'am, correct.
It's a boy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank God.
Well, you also had a daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And that daughter is not the child of the defendant, but with another lady.
Correct.
With whom you also don't live.
Right.
Do you have any other children?
Yeah.
How many?
4 total.
How old are they?
7, and
It's just a minute.
1 and 1.
7?
Yeah.
And are they twins?
No.
So they have two that are
mothers.
7. Their mothers are different.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you have 2 7s. Go ahead.
And 2 1s.
And 2 1s, also not with the same mother. They were
Right,
not.
just one
twin.
with the defendant.
What do you do for a living?
I work at Domino's and I do the voiceovers.
Do voiceovers for what?
It's content,
Explain that to me.
like a TV show.
Okay, well then you're going to have to speak up and slowly, because if you do voiceovers, you want to project yourself, right?
Right.
Who do you live with now?
Currently living with a friend.
Male or female?
Male.
According to you, an incident happened about a year ago that involved the defendant.
Yes.
You each have very, very different versions of that event. You're the plaintiff. It is your allegation that the defendant assaulted you seriously.
Yes, precise.
Which caused serious injury on October 10th of 2020.
Yes, precise.
I'd like you to tell me your version of the events.
Yes.
She has a version that is markedly different.
Yes. So October 10th, I was had received a phone call to go to a defendant's house. She wanted.
You got a phone call from her?
Yes. She wanted me to drop off some money, but I refused to drop off money if I couldn't see my son.
Had you been having difficulty seeing your son in the past?
But prior to that incident, it was on and off. And then after the incident, it got better.
Okay. Your son was 3 months old at the time, according to what I read.
Yes, correct.
And the two of you didn't live together.
Right.
She called you. She said, I need some money for the baby.
Right.
You said, I'm not going to give you money unless I can see him.
Yes.
If she let you see him, you were prepared to give her money.
Yes, I'm prepared to take him with me too.
Well, I don't know if did she want you to take him with you?
But that was my standards.
Oh, so not only did you want to see him,
Yeah.
you wanted to see him outside of her presence.
Yes, precisely.
That's okay. I'm not finding fault with that.
Yes, I had my daughter at the same time.
So you had one of your 7-year-olds?
Yeah.
Just one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what did she say to you?
It was more majority of the fact she didn't want me to. She didn't want to be in the presence of the baby at the same time.
No, you have to tell me what you said to her and what she said to you.
I told her I want to see my son and she wanted to get some money. She told me, you're not seeing your son at all. And I had told her I was going to come over her house and come pick him up because we had prior talked.
Just a second. So she said you're not going to see him.
Right.
And you said I'm coming over anyway.
Right.
Okay. About what time of the day was this?
This is a little bit afternoonish.
Around?
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, afternoon is also 4 o'clock. But this was about 12 or 1.
Right.
Okay. So you went over there even though she told you not to come over.
Right.
And you drove over with your daughter.
Precisely, yes.
Does she live in a house or an apartment?
Apartment.
First floor, second floor?
It was first floor. But I also want to know, prior to me coming over, it was a day before, she had told me I could get him, so she had changed her mind overnight. Okay. So I do want to know that.
Without going any further, is what he says correct so far?
No.
Well, then let's pick it up, your version of what happened just until that point. He says you had agreed the day before that he could see his son. Then you called him and you said, I want some money. He said, I'm not giving you money unless I can see my son. You said you're not going to see him. He came over anyway. Mm-hmm. What's your story?
So I had called him from work. I'm a chef, and I was working at the casino. I did ask him for $50 to help with the daycare fees for that week because it's $200.
Okay. So you did ask him for money?
Yes.
Was this on October 9th or 10th?
I asked him October 9th at night.
So you were working, called him
Yes.
the day before.
Yeah.
And asked him for money.
Yes.
And he said to you?
He said, unless I'm seeing you, he didn't ask to see his son. He said, as long as I'm seeing you, I'm not giving you no money. I said, well, you don't have to see me. My brothers are at home. You can drop the money off to him. I didn't have sex with your brothers. I'm not giving them the money. I said, well, you could just forget the whole thing. I get it from my father. And that's when he popped up at my house.
The next day?
Yes.
Were you home?
Yes, I was. I was cleaning.
Okay. Well, slight variation, but I got it so far. He showed up unannounced.
Yes.
Go. Your version.
To my understanding,
Just a second. Now you get to the house. Your 7-year-old daughter is in the car. You leave her in the car.
yes.
Alone.
I tell her I'm going to be right. Yes.
You left your 7-year-old daughter in the car alone. This was in October.
Yes.
In what city?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Was she in a car seat?
She's old enough, so no.
So the answer is she was not in a car seat.
No, ma'am.
Was she in a seatbelt?
Yes, she was in the seatbelt.
So you left her in the car and you went to the plaintiff's door,
Yes.
step by step.
I went to the plaintiff's door, and she opened the door, and I told her I'm here to get Bryce, and she said, "Where's my money?" I'm like, "I gotta go see the son first." And she's my son is in the kitchen, so she's at the door. I see my son, and she's like, "Yeah, he right there." And I'm like, "Let me get him." She's like, "Nah, no, wish you would step in." So I'm like,
No. Slowly. I have to make this mental picture for myself. Slowly.
Right.
You're at the door. You
Right.
lean in.
Yeah, I lean in.
You see him in the kitchen.
Yeah, and it's about.
You said, "I'm going to go get him."
She saw me looking like I wanted to go get him. She's like, "Yeah, he right here, and I wish you would come get him." And I stepped in the house.
She said,
Yeah.
"I wish you would come get him."
Yeah.
Okay.
So I stepped in the house. And when I stepped in the house, she slammed the door behind me and
How did she slam the door behind you?
like welcomed me in the house and then slammed the door. And then next thing you know, we walk a little bit towards the center of the living room. And then I just got smacked and popped in my head and nose for a few times.
So she hit you?
Yes, a few times. And I started bleeding a little bit on the ground, on the floor.
Okay. Did she say anything when she hit you?
It was just more antagonizing me.
No, just antagonize is a word that doesn't describe an act.
Right.
So what did she say when she hit you?
She told me, what was all that stuff you was talking on the phone? And I told you you went.
What was all that stuff you were talking on the phone?
Right.
Did you know what she was talking about?
No, because all I had told her was I was coming to get my son, and she told me I couldn't get him, but from my understanding, you told me I could get him yesterday. So I was going off the actions of still getting him the next day. So that's all she was telling
So
me.
she comes over.
Yeah.
She lets you in the house.
Right.
Closes the door.
Right.
Meanwhile, your 7-year-old is alone in the car.
Right.
And you're in there. You say she hits you a couple of times, causing you to bleed from someplace.
The nose.
The nose. And then what happened?
She reached for a glass jar, like a heavy glass jar, and tried to swing on me with it. But I had blocked her hand from actually connecting with my face or whatever particular degree she was to effectively hit me with. So next thing you know, I threw the glass jar on the couch, and
Just a
I ran
second.
towards the door.
So you grabbed the glass jar out of her hand.
Yeah, as she was swinging it, yeah.
You threw it on the couch.
Yes,
And went towards the door.
yes.
Go ahead.
And I ran out the door running towards my car to go get in my car to leave her house. And I get in my car, and she's chasing me down with the glass jar, and she starts.
You got in the car.
Yes,
Did you close the door?
yes.
Go ahead.
I closed the door, had the window down, and next thing you know, she's coming towards the car, bashed the windshield in, and I'm like sitting there in shock that she blasting the windshield in, and I stick my hands out the window to try to stop her because she's like right there by the mirror, and next thing you know, my hand gets caught in the action of her bashing the windshield in and tore some tendons and some nerve damage.
And your daughter is in the car.
Yeah, she's witnessed me running towards the car right along with my witness here.
Oz Carter claims his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, owes for car damage and an assault. Timani is countersuing for harassment, claiming Savaz threatened her.
Now, did you make a police report?
I made a hospital report when I went to the
I'd
hospital.
like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the 10th, you went to the hospital.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay. I mean, you read this report, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Initially, the nurse says patient states his baby mama attacked his car as he was attempting to leave and she broke his driver's side window. And then the chief complaint, and this is provided by a physician's assistant, patient, that's you, 27 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
27 years old, 4 kids, none of whom live with you.
No, ma'am.
Nice. 27 years old, presents for an evaluation of multiple lacerations on the fingers and wrists. Patient changes his story multiple times throughout the history taking and also provides very vague details. He initially tells me he was sitting in a car holding a glass cup, and his girlfriend came out and threw another glass cup at him, and he went to protect his own glass cup, causing them to collide and both break showering glass on his right hand. He later states that the girlfriend broke his driver's side window, which is what caused the cuts. He denies any alcohol or drug use.
Yeah, I don't understand how that nurse got my words misconstrued with me having a glass cup at the same time.
I don't know. I wasn't there. Patient stated it occurred 6 o'clock this afternoon. You said it occurred between 12 and 1.
I went to the hospital at 6 o'clock because I had to drop my daughter off after this incident happened, and then my brother came and picked me back up, and then he took me to the hospital around 5, 6 o'clock.
Where did you drop your daughter off?
Back home to her mother.
How far is that?
Probably about 3 miles. Not far.
Well, that's 1 o'clock. Then you're at the hospital at 1:15.
No, I went to the hospital later on around
Why?
5. Because I had to wait till my brother got back because he had took my car to go drop my daughter off because he was in the car with me.
This brother?
No, this is the witness that was down the street. He's a neighbor.
A neighbor of hers?
Yes.
Would you stand up, please? Tell me your name.
Brandon Kelly.
Mr. Kelly, do you know the plaintiff?
I know of him. Been around him, seen him a few times.
You know the defendant?
Same thing, seen her a few times around the neighborhood.
Do you remember October 10th?
Vaguely, but yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what you saw about 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
It was kind of a blur a little bit because the day before it was my birthday, so I kind of partied a little bit. But as I was outside, me and my friend...
Outside of your house?
Of my friend's house because it was her house. But we was outside, and you know, typically it's like baby mom, baby dad drama, people yelling and stuff. But in this scenario, there was a lot of commotion. So I'm like, wow, like... So it just happened to see him getting chased.
You saw him being chased?
Yes, ma'am.
By whom?
By the defendant.
Where was he going?
He was running to his vehicle.
You saw that?
Yes, ma'am. I seen him running out the house to the vehicle and to drive off because I thought the situation was funny because I didn't know if they were serious or not because stuff like that happens all the time. Not like with the glass and stuff like that, but just typical yelling back and forth, baby daddy and baby mom drama. Did
you see what happened after she was chasing him?
After I seen him getting chased, he ran into the vehicle. Like, you know, I just seen something just getting swung at the windshield. I just seen him put his hand out. All I heard was an ah. And then next thing you know, just spurred off.
He took off?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she do?
She just went back to the house. Like, it basically amped up, upset.
Did you report that to anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can you tell me how he contacted you today?
Through Facebook.
Explain that to me.
Basically, you know, things go around in the neighborhood. My friend, she had the thing recorded on her phone.
She had what recorded on the phone?
Well, basically had the incident recorded on her phone.
The friend that you were with that day?
Yes, ma'am. So
she recorded the defendant chasing him to the car?
Yes, ma'am. Because she was out the window. Typical, like, viral moment, that's I guess.
Did you ever see that video?
No, ma'am. But she put it on Facebook. I'm not really a Facebook person.
So your girlfriend put the video on Facebook?
Yes, ma'am.
This happened a year ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what name she uses on Facebook?
I'm not for sure. I could probably look it up.
Look it up.
Yes, ma'am.
I also have the evidence of the windshield, if you'd like to see.
No, I don't want to see anything yet.
Okay.
I have it right here.
Got it? Kevin, would you hand that over to Sarah, please? Just an unlikely occurrence that you can actually find that. But it's worth a shot. Okie dokie. You have a whole different story about October 10th.
Yes.
And we're looking for the video. So before Sarah, who is very adept at what she does because she's a millennial, and that's what they do as a part-time job, did you follow him from your house?
No.
With a glass bottle in your hand?
No.
Did you swing a glass bottle at him?
No.
How was his hand injured on October 10th?
Actually, I got the pictures to prove that he shattered my windshield. I mean, not my windshield, my windows in my living room, and his blood is on them, on the picture.
So what you're telling me is that he came over to the house.
Yes, ma'am.
On that day, because we all agree that he came over to the house uninvited.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me what he did, step by step, just like I told him.
Okay, he came to the door. It was open because I was mopping, so I was letting my floor air dry. He had came in the living room. I told him he needed to leave my house. You didn't have permission to come in my house. My son was not in the kitchen. He was in the living room in his bassinet next to the couch. I said, my son's asleep. So I did push him. I did not punch him.
Just a second. So you put your hands on him?
Yeah, I pushed him out my house.
Just a second.
Yeah.
You put your hands on him?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get him out of the house?
No, he started yelling and screaming back and forth.
Okay. So you put your hands on him. He started yelling and screaming. And then what happened?
I told him I was calling my mother and my stepdad. And that's when he left.
And then what happened?
He went to his car, I guess, to grab a hammer and busted my living room windows. And that's how he got cut. The blood is on the window.
Okay, he busted the living room window.
Yes, ma'am.
And after he busted the living room window, did he leave?
Yes, he had skirted off. And then I told my mom, because it's actually her residence.
What happened next? Now he's outside.
I threatened to call the police, and I had called my mom. And when she got there, we had made a police report.
I'd like to see it.
I don't have it.
So you called the police, no police report. And
when she had pressed charges against him, he had to pay restitution.
Okay. Do you have any of those court documents?
No.
Were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window?
Savaz Carter has accused his ex-girlfriend, Timani Sperling, of assaulting him and breaking his windshield. Timani says Savaz threatened her and broke her window first.
Were you arrested or taken into custody for vandalism of the defendant's mother's window?
No, ma'am, not whatsoever.
Did the police question you about it?
No, ma'am.
Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
No, let's go back. Did you pay for the window?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any proof that he paid for the window?
No, that was between him and her, so no.
So you have no proof?
No.
Just a second.
No.
The answer is no.
No.
Who do you live with?
My mother.
Where is she today?
She is currently sick right now.
So she's not here?
Yeah, she's not here.
No video posted from this time.
October 10th.
Video.
It is old.
Do you know Mr. Kelly?
Actually, yes. I had got...
Just a second. Before October 10th, had you seen Mr. Kelly before?
Yes, they have...
Just a second. The answer is yes.
Yes.
When had you seen him before?
Him, they do videos together. They do music together. It's all over his and his Facebook.
I'd like to see it.
Gladly.
Before she shows it to me, Mr. Carter, is that true? That you and your witness, Mr. Kelly, do music videos together?
Yeah, every now and then.
Every now and then?
Yeah.
Do you know that every now and then means that what you told me and what Mr. Kelly told me today was not true?
Excuse me?
What do you mean, excuse me?
No.
Excuse me was, do you know each other? Yeah, I know her like I know him. Have you ever made a video with Mr. Kelly?
No, ma'am.
No, Kevin, have you ever made a video with Mr. Kelly?
No, Judge.
Have you ever made a video with Mr. Carter?
No, ma'am.
Ever
It was-
sang a duet with Mr.
no.
Do you understand what I mean?
It was
You
not-
got what I mean, Mr.
It
Kelly?
was never a music video.
What? Just a second.
Yes, ma'am. May I say something, please? The video-wise, like cameramans, we do that. But like, far as knowing him personally, no. Like I said,
He
I see
also had
him.
texted me on his
see him
behalf.
here in
before
the
court.
Just a second.
That's why I say I see him here and around.
No,
I
you
see her
see him
and
here and
there.
around that's not making videos, Mr. Kelly.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what he did say.
That is what he said.
Yeah, that he's
I did.
seen him here and around, just like I see her here and around.
I got a message from
Sit.
Mr. Kelly.
That said,
Hi, what's going on? This is Brandon, which he stated his name. Savaz's brother, which is him. Savaz, he just got locked up. Can you call me when you get a chance? This is him.
But I'm not his brother. So why would I say brother?
But they are best friends. He technically, when my son was born, was supposed to be his godfather.
just a
so.
second. Just a second. I got it.
Wow.
Lie to me once. We're done. Do you understand?
Excuse me?
Mr. Carter, did you ever go to court and ask to be declared legally the father of this child and ask for certain rights and responsibilities?
No, I asked for rights to stay away from her to stay away from me, not the child.
Just a second. Do you see your son?
Not right now, no.
Well, not right now. Right now we're in court. Do you visit with him?
No,
Does he
no.
come to stay with you?
Not lately, no.
When was the last time you saw him?
It's been a few months.
Where did you see him?
I took him to daycare and dropped her off back at home.
Is that right?
No, not technically, no. He did come and get me and my son for daycare, but we had gotten into an argument because he's not supposed to be in the daycare. He wanted to go in because it's family owned by my family. So he kicked us out the car. He did not take us to daycare.
But you were let
I
him
was
come
in his
over.
car, yeah.
Yeah,
He
you
did not take
Case is dismissed. We're done. You don't come here, sir, and you don't bring a witness here that lies to me. Do you understand? And just like the physician's assistant said, he kept telling different kind of stories. He was vague as to sort of what happened.
Excuse me?
Two glasses, one glass, a windshield. If somebody came after me and cut me, sir, so that I had to have hand surgery, I guarantee you there would be a police report. Guaranteed.
I wasn't presented for a chance to do a police report.
You've had a year.
I was going through stuff with her for a whole year.
Yeah, okay. We're done here. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
Court is adjourned.
I'm so happy because he was completely lying. The judge also saw that.
Man, just a bunch of bogus going on.
I'm pretty sure everybody saw that. His story kept changing.
You're just not seeing eye to eye. We was raised from different cloths. That's all I can really say.
Everything's about my child. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many other kids you got. My child is my main focus.
If I get to see my child, because I'm a family man, I like to have all my kids together. I even like to have a big family going on with me and her, but, you know, there's a lot of differences going on.
It's time to stay strong for my son.
For the most part, I just hope I get to see my son.
Perfect example. The devil is in the detail. He told a perfectly credible story and then figured he would punctuate that story with a witness who added a few details to make it even more credible. And then you look up the detail, something that never occurred to either one of these two geniuses that might happen. And you found nothing. You found her name.
Yep, her name and even a birthday tribute from that day, but no video like you mentioned.
And the detail, well, do you know him? Well, I know him from around, just like, do you know her? Well, just the same way I know her from around. Well, didn't you think she was going to say they make videos together?
Yeah, I think the doctor had it right the first time around from that report.
Right, he was
Inconsistent.
inconsistent. And another thing that my father used to say is, keep it simple, stupid. You had told that story. I might have bought that story from him. Really?
Yeah.
It sounded perfectly credible. It was so foolish. Lucky we have technology.
Yeah.
Christopher and Paulette Cole are suing Army veteran Naomi Herrera for the cost of a Volkswagen Beetle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 1071, CMP Cole versus Herrera.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Mr. and Mrs. Cole, you purchased a car from the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And you didn't know her before you purchased the car from
No,
her.
ma'am.
You purchased the car on what date?
5/21 was the first transaction.
May 21st.
And you made the first payment on that date?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was a Volkswagen Beetle, what year?
2005.
And the purchase price was $2,800.
Yes.
Ms. Herrera, when had you purchased the Beetle?
In 2018,
Who did you purchase it from?
a nice older couple that I found
That
on
only drove
Craigslist.
it to the Piggly Wiggly. It was a
Yes.
very good car.
It definitely was.
Great. You were asking $2,800 for the car or more?
I was offering it to a military family to bless them at $2,800.
I didn't need all the editorializing. You wanted $2,800 for the car.
Correct.
And Mr. and Mrs. Cole responded. I assume this is online.
Yes.
And they agreed to your purchase price, $2,800. I read your answer. I read their complaint. They gave you a down payment of $1,000. And you allowed them to take the car.
Correct. On the premise.
Speak not. This is just a general laying out of the case. They gave you $100. They were supposed to pay you the balance within a day or so or a week. They're seeking the return of their $2,800 because they have not been furnished with a title to the car. On May 21st, 2021, when they gave you the $1,000, did you show them a title?
I showed.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Did you show them a title? Did you have the title?
No.
Did you tell them that you didn't have the title?
No.
Did you know where the title was?
Misplaced in my house.
So the answer is you didn't know where it was.
Correct.
When next did you communicate with them that you had located the title?
June 5th, 2021.
So between May 21st and the 5th of June, you did not advise them that you had the title?
I did.
You did?
I told them that I was getting a copy of the title.
But that you didn't have one?
Correct.
And you never found the original?
Correct.
So they came on what date?
They came initially.
No, they came on May 21st initially.
Right. And they were supposed to pay me the next day, the $1,000, and then $800 after that. And then I contacted them, and I was accused of harassment.
Just a second. What I want you to do is I want you to tell me, now you have the title on June 5th.
Correct.
On what date did they come to pay you the $1,800?
June 5th.
On June 5th?
Correct.
The same day that you
Correct.
told them that you had the title?
Correct.
Then there was a kerfuffle that I'll get to someplace else.
Yes, she jumped on my
Just-
car.
Just a second. You didn't expect them to give you the $1,800 before they had a title.
I expected them to pay according to our agreement.
Listen to me. They would be morons if they paid you the full value of the car. You didn't have to let them take the car. Let's start with that.
But they have a bill of
Just
sale.
pay careful attention. You didn't have to let them take the car with a deposit only. You could have said to them, I can't find the title to this car. I'll take your deposit, which means I won't sell it to anybody else. And then I'm going to find the title. When I find the title, the car is yours, and I'll give you the title and we'll exchange the money. You could have done that. No sane person would pay you the full value of the car without seeing that you owned it. Do you understand that?
I absolutely understand that.
It's ridiculous. It would be as if Kevin, what kind of a car do you drive?
Mercedes.
What color?
It's black.
It would be as if, what's your name?
Stephanie.
As if I said to Stephanie, come here, I want to show you this black Mercedes that I own. I'm going to sell it to you for $5,000. I don't have the title for it. Give me a $1,000 deposit. You can give me the rest tomorrow, when I still won't have the title. I didn't have any right to sell that car. It's not mine. I don't own it. So nobody is going to give you the full value of a car when you don't have the title. So this is what happened. On the 5th, you notified them that you now had the title. You probably got a duplicate.
Correct.
They came by to give you the money, $1,800.
Correct.
And they had $1,800, and you said to them, because this is all from the papers, you said to them, I'm charging you an additional $280 because you didn't pay me on the day you were supposed to pay me.
Correct.
And you think that that's okay? I'm just asking you if you think that that's okay.
Yes, I do.
It's ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Do you have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the title?
I don't have it. I threw it out the window when she jumped on my car.
Okay. Okay. I am going to create an order, and the order will direct the Department of Motor Vehicles, because she signed an agreement to be bound by anything that I order today.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to sign an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles that instructs them to issue a new title in your name because the car has been fully paid for as a result of this arbitration.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Is the car running okay?
Yeah.
Great.
They're driving it without insurance. I have a letter from the DMV.
That would be your problem.
We're not
Then you
driving
should
it.
have. Then today is September. Then you should have gotten another title and given it to them so that they could get insurance. They
gave
can
them the bill of sale.
Quiet. They need the title. I could write a bill of sale up. Excuse me. What year Mercedes do you drive?
13.
I've sold Stephanie a black 2013 Mercedes for $17,000, signed Judith Scheindlin. You think that if they took that to the Department of Motor Vehicles, they were going to give me a title to Kevin's car?
Along with the release of liability.
Doink.
Christopher and Paulette Cole say Army veteran Naomi Herrera wrongfully kept the title to their Volkswagen Beetle. Naomi is countersuing for harassment and emotional distress.
Now, you have a counterclaim. And your
Absolutely.
yeah, right. First of all, let's start with the fact that you had no right to withhold the title to the car from them for $280 that you tacked on in addition to the $2,800 because they didn't pay you in full for a car which you could not provide a clear title to. Do you understand?
I understand.
Now, what happened was that they came to your house with the money, said you can't have it unless you pay me an additional $280. There was some sort of a kerfuffle, and it is your claim that your car was damaged because Mrs. Cole jumped on your car as you were trying to flee the situation in your car, causing damage to your car. That's what your counterclaim is.
My counterclaim is for the emotional PTSD trigger and for that.
Yes, that's
what you just said.
Stephanie, what do you do for a living?
I own my own business.
You're not a psychiatrist, are you?
No.
You're not a psychologist, are you?
No.
No. Okay. You're suing for the damage to your car. I'm not making a leap between the damage to your car and triggering some emotional response without a psychiatric witness. I want you to pay careful attention to what I'm saying. You're suing for two things: emotional distress and the damage to your car because she jumped. And what?
Harassment.
Well, they should harass you. They had a car that they can't drive because you tacked on 10% to the purchase price of the car. Now I'll see damage to the car.
I don't have photos of the damage to the car.
Well, if you're suing for damage to the car, you have to have photographs
hot water
just a
on
second
it to get the dent out.
Well, then the dent is out.
Yes.
Fine. Then you have no case. You have no counterclaim.
I do.
No, you don't. You have no counterclaim here that I'm going to find is valid. I need damage. If she jumped on your car, which is a no-no, you shouldn't have done.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that, which is an absolute no-no. They came, gave you $1,800. Did you give her the $1,800?
Yes.
Okay, so now you had all the money that you asked for the car, and you weren't giving them the title. And in the heat of the moment, she jumped on your car, which she absolutely shouldn't do. And if there was damage to the car, I would absolutely award you on the counterclaim whatever it cost you to fix the damage to the car, because as angry as she was, she should not have jumped on your car and caused damage. But if the car was not damaged, you have no counterclaim. All right. I will prepare the order directing Department of Motor Vehicles to put the car in your name. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Court is adjourned.
She was getting away with our money. I didn't know if we were being swindled or scammed.
I think that nobody should jump on somebody's car.
I don't know this lady, so my instinct was to jump on the car.
She didn't jump on the hood. She jumped on the side of my car and hung on for dear life so that I didn't kill her.
And she seen me on the car. She just drove down the hill with me.
I absolutely had it, and when she jumped on top of my car, I threw it out the window.
That when she couldn't produce it and then produced another pink slip, made me kind of wonder, who else is she doing this to?
No, I wish that it would have been given to a military family that really would have been blessed, because that was my whole intention of selling it.
If this is what she does for veterans, then I would hope that she wouldn't help anybody else from this point on.
I thought the plaintiffs were very smart in that case to not give their full purchase price for the car until they had the only piece of legal value that showed that they actually owned the car. And I think that this is also how a lot of scams can get started. By your example with Kevin's car was perfect. You can say anything you want. You can draw up whatever you want on your own, but unless you have the sole document that the legal world considers
proves ownership.
That proves ownership, yeah,
Right.
then I wouldn't give them my money.
Of course not. Of course not. It got done, and you're right. When people are buying a used car from someone, it is really important that you have proof of title, clean title to a car before you turn over any money.
Mm-hmm.
All parties, please step forward.
Nicole DeRizo is suing spouses Susan Levy-Connolly and Tony Huzar for legal documents, harassment, and emotional distress.
Mr. Russo, do you want to explain to me what a document preparer is and what training is required to be a document preparer?
Yes, ma'am. So a document preparer is similar to a paralegal. There's actually no formal training that needs to be taken. However, I do have a PhD that deals in elder law as well, 31 years in service.
But you have no expertise in estate planning.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Tell me what?
I have a PhD in elder law as well. I have taught at 3 different law schools teaching elder law.
Okay. You're not old, right?
I'm 55.
I have food in my refrigerator older than that. This is what the case is about. The defendants contacted you because you are a couple and one of you was going into surgery. That would be you. And you wanted to, even at your young age, you wanted to put your affairs in order in the event that the surgery did not turn out well. And you contacted the plaintiff to prepare wills for the two of you. And you agreed on a price of $200 to do the wills. And you sent them a form to fill out, telling
Yes, ma'am.
what you want. According to you, they sent you back the form and you sent them a will.
Yes, ma'am.
And they complained that the will was not consistent with what they had filled out in the questionnaire. So you redid it.
Yes, ma'am.
And each time you redid it and it was signed, there was a filing fee, according to you. And then ultimately, they were dissatisfied. You wanted to put a period at the end of this whole episode in dealing with them. They wanted a refund. You gave them a refund, the refund of $200. So now you're in the hole a little bit because you've already filed it once or twice. And according to you, you think that they should pay you $8,000.
Yes, ma'am.
For return of money taken under false pretenses, services not rendered, lost income, and punitive damages for harassment and emotional distress.
Yes, ma'am.
Okie dokie. So first I would like to see from you, Kevin, and can you give it to me, please, the questionnaire that they filled out. Thank you. All right, I'm going to cut to the chase here. Did you get your money back, your $200?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I would like you to tell me first, since you're suing for an astronomical amount of money, what money was taken of yours under false pretenses? That's what you claim in here.
Nicole DeRizo says spouses Susan Levy-Connolly and Tony Huzar owe her for legal documents, harassment, and emotional distress.
I would like you to tell me first, since you're suing for an astronomical amount of money, what money was taken of yours under false pretenses?
For one, I asked them ahead of time if they could qualify for discounts, okay? One of the discounts was if you are a law enforcement officer. Tony and Susan both replied no. That's when Tony...
Mr. Russo, I'm going to refresh your recollection as to what you wrote in your complaint. What you wrote in your complaint was, I normally charge $537 for the service, but Tony asked me for a same-sex discount.
That was the first one.
I gave them a discount just because they seemed nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's skip over police officers, military, everything else, not interested. I want you to tell me false pretenses.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
I just cross it out?
You can cross it out, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
very good.
She did lie, though.
False pretenses. Services rendered. Okay, well, you already returned their money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so return their money. Lost income and punitive damages for harassment.
Yes, ma'am.
And emotional distress. I am the only one who's in emotional distress doing this case. So why don't you tell me how they harassed you?
So towards the end of us dealing together, Tony informed me that she was a New York police officer and a detective, and she was going to press charges on me, and she was going to sue me. And then she called me, and pardon my language ahead of time, because I don't normally cuss, but her exact words were, I will make sure you're arrested. And I told her, you are on speakerphone. And when I told her she was on speakerphone, it was in hopes that she would stop everything that she was saying. And instead, she just continued to tell me how she knew where I lived. She told me she was going to put me out of business. She continued to cuss at me. And I said, for what? And she said, and hung up the phone.
Okay, nasty, nasty language, nasty business. And
so for that following week, I literally was afraid because how do I know she's not going to put false charges on me?
Well,
because she's lied to that
point. This
point.
was just a second. In what day and month did you return their $200?
It was July the 3rd of this year.
Okay. Then I'd like you to show me how they harassed you after July 3rd.
One was through phone call, and one was through the court.
Tell me the date.
Okay. The date was approximately July the 6th. And that's when Tony told me,
Who's Tony? Raise your hand. Tony, that would be you. Said to you.
That's when she reiterated again that she was a retired New York police officer, detective. And she reiterated again that she was going to make sure I was put in jail. And I said, for what? What are your charges? And she said, and hung up the phone again.
And then you said through the courts. How did that happen?
Through the courts. I filed a motion of continuance.
For what?
For a pretrial conference.
For what?
For this case.
Okay, and was that continued?
Yes, ma'am, because they didn't show up.
Just a second. Just hold on. Okay. Ms. Huzar, the plaintiff has just relayed to me conversations that you had on at least 2 different occasions with her. First, are you or have you ever been law enforcement?
No.
Did you, at any time during your conversations with the plaintiff, tell her that you were law enforcement?
I told her, I think this is a scam. And I said, I'm a New York PD just to get my money back.
Just a second. So that was a lie?
That was a lie.
Okay. On what date did you receive your refund?
First she said she wasn't sending it, and then she sent it on July 6th.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. She stated that we didn't show up in court. Our original court date was August 11th. August 10th, we got an email from the court stating that she broke her jaw and she wouldn't be available until the middle of October because she wouldn't be able to speak in her medication.
I see? Do you have that?
Yes.
Let me see that letter from the court. Did you ever advise the court, Mr. Russo, that you couldn't appear in court on the 11th of August because you had a broken jaw?
I had a...
That's a yes or a no?
That would be a no.
You did not?
I was dislocated, not broken. It's clarification, ma'am.
It doesn't make any difference for the purposes of this case. You told the court you could not appear in a case in which you filed, and you said it was adjourned because they didn't show up. That's what you told me.
Yes, ma'am, because you still have to show up if they don't rule on it yet.
Did you bring documentation of your injury?
Not of my dislocation of my jaw, no, ma'am.
You did not. Okay. Mr. Russo, I'm not going to let you waste another minute of my time.
No problem.
This case is over.
Thank you.
Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. She lied, and it got all proven in court, and now we can go home and be happy and move on with our lives.
I'm going to tell you that they lied, and they lied multiple times.
She said she broke her jaw. She claimed that we didn't show up in court.
Because they didn't get it for free?
Well, now we have our new will, and it's all ready to go with a reputable, real attorney.
That is the bottom line.
That was a case that if the defendants had counsel, I would have awarded the defendants counsel fees, because I think that the plaintiff, who should know better, was abusing the process of the court and suing these people for $8,000. And while I don't condone the use of abusive language or saying, you know, I have a cousin who's a lawyer or I used to be a police officer, it's not grounds for a lawsuit. And if the plaintiff is telling me the truth, she is a professor at law school. So she should have at least some rudimentary knowledge about what constitutes a lawsuit and what does not. So I actually think that it was an abusive process, and she's just lucky that they didn't have a counterclaim.
Martinez and his fiancée, Alexandra Sanchez Moore, are suing Brandon Alvarez for trespassing and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Good morning, Judge. We have case 1033 Martinez Sanchez Moore versus Alvarez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Sanchez?
My fiance.
And you're his fiancé?
Yeah.
Why don't you have a seat for a moment? Because this case is really about you, Mr. Martinez. Your fiancé was a witness to these events and may have been, according to you, traumatized by them, but this really involves the two of you. That be a fair statement?
Correct.
Let me see if I understand. You have in your home a music studio.
Yes.
Is it in the basement or on the main level?
It's in my son's room.
How old is he?
He's 4.
And that's where you do?
That's where I record.
That's where you record. You had a friend.
Correct.
You and your friend were doing music together.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And at some point, you became acquainted because you were acquainted with his friend. And you decided that you and your friend would like to use his son's room that doubles as a recording studio to work with him and record some music.
Correct.
So you started to work together, and then you and your friend had a falling out.
Correct.
Prior to you having a falling out, according to your answer and counterclaim, you purchased a microphone.
That's correct.
To use in recording. You acknowledged that he purchased a microphone that he brought to your son's room/playroom. After you and your friend decided, after this falling out, and you were aware that there was a falling out, you stopped going to the studio.
That's, Your Honor, if I may, I had been to the studio about 2-3 times. It's just, I work a lot, I work 12-hour shifts.
No, listen to me. Don't give me a lot of editorializing.
Correct,
if anything that I said is wrong, tell me. Don't enhance it I don't need enhancing right now. I'm trying
yes,
to set the stage of what this case is about.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
So you and your friend split up, and you decided that you weren't going back to the studio anymore, or you decided that you would continue working with his friend. Because I feel peculiar about it, let's call your friend Steve.
Correct.
Now I feel more comfortable. So you continued to work with Steve.
Yes.
At some point, you wanted your microphone back.
That's correct.
And you communicated that fact to Mr. Martinez.
That is correct.
Mr. Martinez said he sort of felt uncomfortable because he's still working with Steve. So he says he gave the microphone to Steve to give back to you.
Yes, Your Honor, that's incorrect.
I'm just telling you what's in here.
Okay.
According to you, Mr. Alvarez, this is your claim, trespassed on your property in order to get his microphone back, and in the process assaulted you seriously in front of your fiancée, which is why she was standing up next to you, and your 4-year-old son.
Yes.
Traumatizing them.
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez has a cross complaint. He says he did, in fact, come to your house because you stopped returning his calls to retrieve his expensive microphone, and you, in fact, assaulted him, and he's got a counterclaim for that assault. That's what this case is about.
That's correct.
All right?
That is correct.
So we have a claim of assault, and also you want your microphone back. And you have a claim of trespass. Did you get your microphone back, by the way?
I received my mic, but not my other piece of equipment.
I don't care about other piece of equipment. From whom did you get the microphone?
Well, the person that you claim that I'm not friends with anymore, Steve. I'm still
Steve,
friends with Steve.
That's it. Mm-hmm. You got it back from Steve.
Yes.
Did you get it back from Steve before or after this altercation between the two of you?
After the altercation.
Okay, so after the altercation, how much after the altercation? A day,
It was
two?
a week. It was a week. It was a week.
A week. So now we're just talking about assault. So on what day, sir, do you allege this assault took place?
May 15th, 2021.
What time of the day?
1 p.m.
At your home?
At my home.
Fiancé and son were there?
Yes.
I'm listening.
Okay, so they ended, Steve and Brandon ended, the May 15th?
Get to May 15th.
May 15th,
I've
2021.
just laid out the case.
1 p.m.
Just a second. Was it clear to you?
Pretty clear.
Was it clear to you?
Very clear.
Got it? I just want to know because you're my ears to the tens of millions of people who are going to watch us. All I want is what happened. You had the microphone. You gave it to Steve. You shouldn't have given it to Steve. Should have given it directly back to him. It was a mistake. You cut him off.
Yes.
You didn't return his calls. Now he comes to your house, May 15th, 1 p.m. Pick it up from there.
May 15th at 1 p.m. Me and my fiance are in the yard. We're hanging out. We noticed Brandon pulling up to the gate right off the bat saying, "Yo, Rebel, what's my mic at?"
Pulled up to what gate? Is there a...
It's a side gate that leads to our home. We live on a side home.
Okay.
So
Pulled up to the gate. Was anybody with him?
He had a driver with him.
Somebody was driving the car?
Yeah, so he immediately lets himself in.
Opened the gate?
Yeah, he opens the gate, immediately lets himself in, immediately started asking for his equipment. I respond by telling him, I don't have your stuff. Steve has your stuff. You need to leave because, no one let you in. As I'm walking towards him, I'm telling him,
As you're walking towards him?
As I'm walking towards him, he's continuing to refuse to leave.
No. Tell me, as you're walking towards him, what he said to you and what you said to him.
I'm telling him, get out of here. He's saying, no, give me my stuff. At that point, at
that point.
I'm trying to shove him out.
Okay, so we're going frame by frame.
Yes.
He's in your yard. He's let himself in. Mm-hmm. He wants his stuff. You say, get out of here.
Yes.
You start shoving him out.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
How did you start shoving him out?
I just put one hand on him, telling him, hey, man, get out of here.
Okay.
You need to leave.
Well, first you picked up two hands. Did you pick up two hands? That's what you picked up first.
It was one hand.
One hand, you put your hands on him and say, hey, man, get out of here.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then he's refusing to leave. He's still refusing to leave.
Just a second. What happened next?
I try to keep shoving him again.
Okay, just a second. So you're shoving him now with one hand or two?
I believe with two hands.
Okay, so now you're shoving him back towards the fence.
Towards the fence.
Telling him to leave.
Yes.
What's next?
At that point, he gets very aggressive.
No, just a second. Just tell me what happened. You're shoving him now with two hands back towards the fence and probably exchanging words. He wants his stuff, get out of here. Probably lots of bad language. You're shoving him out. What happened next?
He punches me in my face.
Okay, so he punched you, and then what happened?
At that point, I'm stunned. I'm like, what's that for? What's that for? And then he's still saying, you have my mic, give me my mic. So at that point, my wife grabs a brick because she feels in danger.
Just I don't care what she feels. Your wife picks up a brick.
Yes.
And what does she do when she picks up the brick?
She's verbally telling him, get out of here.
She picks up a brick and she's saying to him, get out of here.
Get out of here. She's pointing at him to leave.
Pointing at him, get out of here. Mm-hmm. And how far from the gate was he?
When he was backing up?
Yes.
So when he started backing up, when he noticed my wife picked up the brick, he was still at the gate. He was still like in between the gate. So
he's still...
Yeah, he's still at the gate.
Just a second. So when you were pushing him, was he at the gate?
No, he was in my property.
How many feet was he in the yard?
10 feet inside the yard.
10 feet. So he was backing up as you were pushing him, because now you say he's at the gate when your wife picks up the brick. That's what you just said.
Yeah, yeah, I pushed him initially so he can leave, but then he got aggressive, punched me.
Well, I want to know where.
Yeah.
Where was he when he punched you?
In my yard, 10 feet in.
10 feet in.
Yeah.
But at some point, he got to the gate.
Yeah.
Because you said your wife picked up a brick, and at that point, he was just inside the gate.
Yeah.
Not 10 feet in, so he had backed up. And I want to know if he backed up because of your shoving him or if he walked backwards towards the gate.
He's walking back towards the gate.
Is that because of momentum, because you're shoving him, or is he walking himself back? He's going to have a whole different story. But
no, he's...
but I'm paying careful attention to your story.
Yes, he starts backing up because he notices my wife pick up a brick. I'm still telling him, you need to leave, as he's backing up towards the gate. I'm not shoving him anymore at this point. I'm still telling him, still giving him a chance to leave.
Okay, so now he's at the gate, and you and your wife are 10 feet away, because he's already punched you, according to you. He's already punched you, and he's backing up, not because you're shoving him, but because what you said was he saw your wife, which he saw your wife pick up the brick, so he was walking himself because you stopped shoving him. That's what you just told me. See why Whitney is so important?
Yeah.
He said when he noticed my wife picked up the brick, he was still at the gate. He was still in between the gate.
Yes.
So now he's between the gate.
Yes.
Now tell me what happens next. Now he's at the gate.
He's at the gate. I'm still pointing to leave. I'm still giving him a chance.
Just a second. How far were you from him when you were pointing to him?
We're damn near next to each other.
But you were 10 feet away when he started to back up.
No, he was 10 feet. We were 10 feet into my yard. Into my yard.
Just a second. You're 10 feet into your yard.
Yes.
And he starts to back up because he sees your wife pick up a brick because he's punched you. He, according to you, is backed up. So now he's 10 feet in. Mm-hmm. He moves back the 10 feet because he's in between the gate. So you're following him, telling him to leave.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? And you're 2 feet away.
Yeah, he's still in my yard. He's still in the driveway. And so, yes, we followed him because
he's moving backwards to get away from your wife and the brick. And he was 10 feet away from you.
Yeah.
So why were you following him?
He was refusing to leave.
He was walking backwards to the gate. He was 10 feet away. That's what you said.
He was only walking backwards when he noticed my wife.
That's just a second. That's exactly correct. Why were you close to him? Why didn't you just stay back there with your fiance?
Because we were in fear that he was going to come back in.
Oh, that's ridiculous. All right. So now I'm getting your picture. So what happened next? So now you're this close to him again because you walked forward as he's walking backward, and
he's saying, "Come at me, bro." He's telling me when we're at the gate. He's telling me, "Come at me, bro. Come at me."
And what's next?
So I start defending myself.
So let me understand this.
Yes.
He's punched you. You've shoved him. One hand once and then shoved him with both hands. He's backing up. After your fiance picks up a brick, you follow him to the gate because he's backing up. And he says to you, come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So then you punched him.
No, I didn't punch him at all.
Well, you said, I'm defending myself. What does that mean?
It just means that I have my hands up ready for him to, if he strikes at me, I'm ready to defend myself.
Well, no, you didn't use the words, I'm ready to defend myself. You said, I defended myself.
Yeah, I defended myself.
That's what you said. So, is that what he said? Yeah. So, my question to you is, it's not easy. What do you mean you defended yourself? There's no question he was injured. There's no question you were injured. So I want to know what you mean when you say, I defended myself. I'm going to give him the same grilling, not to worry.
Yes, and his fiancée, Alexandra Sanchez Mar, claimed Brandon Alvarez assaulted Danny after he trespassed on their property. Brandon is countersuing for sound equipment and claims he was the one assaulted.
You're at the gate. We're going at this frame by frame.
Yeah. He says, come at me.
Come at me.
Yeah.
And you do.
Yeah.
Because you're walking towards him.
Yeah.
And what happens when you get to him? Is not an answer.
I noticed my wife right next to me with the brick. So she's still with me in the driveway. We're leading towards the sidewalk because he's just backing up.
Just a second. He's backing up. Now he's on the sidewalk.
He's leading towards the sidewalk.
Well, you're in the driveway.
Yes.
He's in the driveway.
He's still in the driveway.
The driveway is beyond the gate, or it's still inside the gate?
It's beyond the gate.
So he backed out beyond the gate?
Yes.
So now he's beyond the gate that he opened to come into your yard? Mm-hmm. Is not an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And you and fiancé with the brick are following him, and he's now in the driveway.
Yes.
And you're in the driveway.
Yes.
Well, why don't you just go back in and close the gate?
Because he's refusing to leave.
Just a second. He was leaving.
No, leaving is when you have your back turned and you're walking towards your car.
Would I turn my back towards somebody with a brick?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Let me hear about the fight. So far, you shoved him, he punched you, and she picked up a dangerous instrument. So that's so far.
Yes.
Okay. What happened next?
So we lead towards the end of the driveway. I put my hands on my wife, letting her know that it's okay.
Fiancé.
My fiance. I put my hands on her, letting her know that it's okay. He's already at the sidewalk at this point. But instead, he strikes me again at my face. And at this point, I'm like, okay, this guy, he's not leaving. So I grab the brick from my wife and I toss it at him. I miss. At this point, he tackles me towards my car and I'm trying to hold him down. We ended up on the ground and he, somehow overpowers me and slams my face to the cement. And when we're getting up, he knees me in my collarbone.
Your version.
Your Honor, I don't have no reason to lie.
Just a second.
I'm content.
Everybody has a reason to lie. Whether you lie or not is something that I unfortunately are going to have to determine. May 15th, 2021, 1 o'clock. Who was driving?
My cousin was driving.
Had you tried to call Mr. Martinez before?
I don't have his number. I can't get a hold of him that way. My only form of communication with him was through Instagram, and he blocked me and he read my message.
Okay, on what date did he block you?
May 5th, the same day that I messaged him.
Do you have that message?
That's correct, I do.
I'd like to see it. Okay, I'm looking for this date. That's Wednesday?
May 5th, 2021.
May 5th? Okay, and this happened 10 days later.
Correct.
And you said, what's up, G? I'll stop by your house tomorrow around 2 to pick up my mic, so you know.
Correct.
Did you get a response from him?
No response at all.
And you didn't go over the next day?
No, I passed by and his car wasn't there. That's how I know that he wasn't home. So I didn't bother to get off or anything.
Okay. And did you at some point block him from communicating with you?
At some point I did.
Just a second. At what point? On what day?
May 8th.
And tell me why you blocked him on May 8th.
I was texting and calling Steve. Steve had let me know that he was gonna reach out to him. I had let Steve know, keep this out, keep me out of this.
Well, you hadn't had a fight with him.
No.
So why wouldn't you just give him back his mic? What were you dealing with Steve for?
I was dealing with Steve because I asked him for some advice. Steve was already letting me know that.
But this is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Clearly, Steve knew that it was his mic.
Yes.
Because he gave it back to him at some point. So he knew that it was his mic. You knew that it was his mic.
Yes.
So why did you, and you hadn't had an argument with him,
Yeah.
Mr. Martinez. So I'm not figuring out why you asked Steve for advice instead of just on May 5th. Say, you know what, we're not going to be home on May 5th. I'll leave your mic on the porch. I'll leave it in the backyard. There's a piece missing here for me.
Yes, because Steve was telling me to ignore him. He was telling me...
Oh, well, but just a second. Steve was telling you to ignore him.
Yes.
I'm just curious.
Yes.
As to why you would listen to that.
Because I trusted Steve. I trusted him, and that's where I made a
Just
mistake.
Well, then it's your mistake.
Yeah.
Because I'm not hearing anything that would suggest that what he was asking for was unreasonable.
Yeah.
He left a piece of valuable equipment at your house. You knew it belonged to him. He said, I'll come by and pick it up. Nothing bad about it. You don't respond to him. You block him from your Instagram. I mean, the smart thing to do, Mr. Alvarez, is to take him to court. You know, that's the smart thing to do. To go over to his house is not smart thing to do because, you know, he's acted like a dummy by blocking you from Instagram.
Your Honor, I didn't think there was any, I mean, there was, like I said, me and him, I've met his wife before, I met his children. I mean, there was never any
bad.
There's never any bad. I didn't think anything of it. I was just trying to pick up my equipment. It was my equipment. He knew it was my equipment. He even suggested for me to buy that equipment.
Just a second. I get it. So now I want you to tell me what happened, because I'm not understanding his whole business here. By the way, a brick is a dangerous instrument. And if you followed him out into a public street with a dangerous instrument, that's a no-no. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a dangerous instrument if you build a building with it, but if you threaten somebody or if you throw it at them, it's a dangerous instrument. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now I want you to tell me your version of what. So you went there, he had blocked you from Instagram so that you know that for some ungodly reason, he's blocked you, he's cut you off, you never had any problem with him before, so you go to his house with a driver.
Correct.
1 o'clock in the afternoon, unannounced.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you go into the backyard.
Well, no, first I'm walking, right? Like you said, I'm walking to the side gate. And his parents live separately. They live on one side of the house, and he lives on the other side of the house, right? You have to get in through the gate to knock, but as I'm walking, I smell weed because they were both smoking outside. And his son wasn't outside, like he says, so it's just a little strange to me.
Okay, so you smell marijuana?
Yes, I smell marijuana.
From the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, from his front of the yard. It's his front of the yard.
Okay, keep going.
Like I said, I'm walking to the front gate. I told him, hey, what's up? Where's my mic at? You blocked me on Instagram. What's that all about? And I'm stepping inside. I'm not 10 feet inside.
Just don't.
Okay.
You're stepping inside the gate.
I'm stepping inside, and as soon as I step into his gate, still open, he approached me with one hand, and he grabbed my neck. He doesn't shove me, he grabbed my neck. And I have, if I may, I have evidence here where it shows that he clearly grabbed my neck, not shoving me. I mean, you're not gonna have any marks of shoving.
Can I see what he's got?
There's a timestamp on there as well.
Who took this photograph?
I did myself.
Go ahead.
As I said, he grabbed my neck, and so, like anyone would, I reacted and I punched him so he would let go of me. I was not 10 feet inside. My back was towards the gate, and as I reacted and I punched him.
What was being said?
He was telling me, get the here. Excuse my language. He said, get the here. I don't have your equipment, and I was just telling him, you have my equipment. I haven't gotten my equipment back. And at this point, him and his wife both picked up a brick. Not just his wife. He picks it up as well, and that's why he said I was walking with my back toward the street. I didn't want to turn around. I was in fear that I was going to get hit with a brick by both of them. And so as I'm walking out the gate, I close the gate, and he still opens the gate and he follows me. And this is when he approaches me and he tries to hit me with a brick. He swings on me with a brick, and I reacted and I hit him again. This time he falls to the floor, picks up the brick again, and I'm still walking like he says. I'm already towards the sidewalk. I'm trying to leave, but he throws it at me, and he comes and he tackles me to the floor. And that's how you see in the pictures I have the abrasions and the marks on my side. And like he said, he was trying to hold me down on the floor, and I picked him up and I threw him off of me. I didn't knee him. I'm still trying to get away from him because
Did the person who was in the car get out of the car?
No, they never got out at any point.
You have a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, Your Honor, I have a video.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have multiple angles. So this is the angle where he...
Just a second. I can see it.
Okay.
Could we see the video, please?
Martinez and his fiancée Alexandra Sanchez Mar are accusing Brandon Alvarez of trespassing and assault.
Okay. Could we see the video, please?
It's you right there.
Well, I see you both picked up bricks.
No, I don't have a brick.
Yeah.
I just dropped my phone on the ground. I'm pointing at him right now.
The brick, he had the brick in his right hand.
Right here, you'll see I don't have a brick. He's saying, come at me. I don't have a brick in my hand. There's no brick in my hand. It's just my wife. He strikes at me here. This is when I got fed up.
Why are you... What? I don't understand, sir. Why you followed him out into the street?
Because he's saying, come at me. He's saying that he's saying he's not going to leave.
He's leaving.
No, he's not. So when you on the side of the gate, you can clearly see me telling him to leave. I'm still pointing to leave. He swipes my hand down. He's knocking my hand down, saying no. I would not come at somebody who's already going to leave. I'm only going to come at somebody that trespassed.
Don't tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you tell me that you think that you acted appropriately, you may have taken bad advice from Steve, and that may have been your problem. And maybe smoking a little weed and taking bad advice from Steve all got it together. But this wasn't a little shove that you gave him. And he wasn't somebody who had done anything to you, except that you took some bad advice from Steve.
Your Honor, he trespassed. He was told to leave multiple times by my wife as well.
You don't have a wife. All you had to do was give him back his equipment.
No, Your Honor.
I'm not excusing coming to your house unannounced. What I'm saying is that you were high, you were taking bad advice, you took his property and gave it to a third person. He came to get his property, which he probably shouldn't have done unannounced because he knew that there would be trouble. But you don't see any complicity on your part.
Yes, I understand that I messed up on
a lot of things.
On a lot of things.
On a lot of things. You put your hands.
I have proof here.
I'd like to see whatever.
Was going to reach out to him.
That who?
Steve.
Let me explain something to you. The fact that Steve was going to reach out to him is not relevant to this case. He wouldn't have come to your house if Steve had reached out to him before the 15th of May.
Correct.
He wouldn't have. That's your fault. He reached out to you on May 5th.
From May 5th to May 15th, in my head, I thought Steve already reached out.
I don't care what's going on in your head, sir. Clearly, when he came to your house, at that point, you knew that he hadn't gotten his stuff back. And instead of saying to him, listen, I don't have it. I gave it to Steve. I'm sorry. I gave it to Steve. You shoved him out of your yard. He doesn't think that there's anything wrong in being in your yard, sir. It's not as if you had had bad words with him before. The only word you had with him was on the 5th of May when he said, I'm coming to pick up my mic, and you weren't home. And then you blocked him from Instagram. You had not had a bad word with him. He was in your house, as far as I can tell, with Steve, playing music, with a mic that he brought to your house and some of your equipment. And whether Steve was supposed to reach out to him, that is totally irrelevant. It didn't happen.
And that's
if that's the proof that you have,
yes.
Well, that's not relevant to this case, that Steve was supposed to reach out to him. That's not relevant.
So if he reached out to him
I don't answer questions. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Unless you have some evidence.
Yes, I have evidence that I wanted to.
Listen.
Yeah.
Unless you have evidence that prior to May 15th, that Steve returned his mic to him.
I have.
No. Unless you have evidence that Steve returned his mic to him.
I have evidence that Steve picked up the microphone.
From your house?
From my house.
I know that. I said that 20 minutes ago. He and Steve had a falling out. You remained friendly with Steve. You knew that he had a microphone that he brought to your house. He messaged you for the microphone on May 5th. Instead of responding to him like a person, you call Steve for advice, this genius. You call him for advice. He says, just ignore him. And you, Mr. Brilliant, decided to just ignore him and block him from Instagram. That's what happened. Am I reading this right?
Yeah.
Am I reading it right?
Yeah.
Your case is dismissed. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. There was an altercation here. It was a nasty fight. One person got more injured than the other, perhaps. You didn't spend any time in a hospital, did you, sir?
I had spent time in my house, sick time.
I don't care if you spent time in your house. My question was a simple one. Did you spend any time in a hospital?
No.
Did you, Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
When?
If I may have evidence for here.
I'd like to see it. Okay, so you said you had a visit with the doctor over the internet, right?
Correct, over the phone.
Over the phone. And you said you had a backache because of a confrontation that you had, and it hurt, and he told you to take pain pills of muscle pain.
Mm-hmm.
That was it?
That was it.
Right. Well, you shouldn't have gone to his house. You had a fight. You both behaved badly. You're lucky it wasn't worse.
Of course.
Of course. I had a fight because of your stupidity, not his. Yours. Yours.
How can you blame me for
Just a
his
second.
actions?
I don't answer questions. I'm making a statement.
Yeah.
You took advice from Steve that turned out to be wrong. As I said before, your case is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. You got your mic back?
I got my mic. I'm missing another piece that she still has.
Okay. You got your mic back?
Correct.
Okay. We're done here. Thank you.
Court is adjourned.
This man came to my home thinking he had every right to think that I stole his stuff.
I do feel he was trying to steal my microphone. He didn't respond to me.
Due to me trusting someone, this is what happens.
I didn't want to get hit with a brick. I mean, no one wants to get hit with a brick.
No more bringing business to family locations at all.
It's just time to part ways.
Watching that video was very interesting because you can see the defendant clearly trying to back away while both plaintiffs, or one of the plaintiffs, has a dangerous instrument. And had they struck him with that, that could have really led to some bad charges, some felony charges for assault with a dangerous instrument.
Yeah, I think that, you're allowed to defend yourself and your property with the degree of force that is being used against you. Clearly, I mean, he knew why he was there. I didn't see the defendant, when he first came in, being aggressive.
No.
I actually saw in the video the plaintiff getting up and being aggressive and telling him to get out. Anyway, but could have been a very tragic situation, just ended with a couple of lumps and bumps.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Right. And if you have to resolve it and retrieve property and you're having a problem, that's what courts are for.
Exactly.
Is suing her former employer, Robert Erdman, for medical costs and lost wages after being attacked by his rooster.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1170, Thomas versus Erdman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Thomas, your son was renting a room in the defendant's home.
Correct.
You have a home that has how many bedrooms?
3. I'm renting it, ma'am.
How long have you been renting the house?
I'm no longer there. I rented it from May until October 1st.
May of this year until October?
May of last year, so it'll be
May 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for curiosity, why did you move out?
I came originally to San Diego before COVID to spend a few weeks before I moved to the UK. And because of COVID, I had to rent a house. Because I couldn't leave, we were all in lockdown.
Right. So you rented the house.
Yes.
Did you sign a lease?
Yes.
Did the lease permit you to rent out rooms in the house?
Yes.
It did. I want you to think very carefully. Did the lease permit you to rent out rooms? It's a private dwelling.
The answer is I'm not sure.
That's a better answer. And what was the rent?
$4,850.
How many tenants did you have?
A tenant, I'm sorry. I had a roommate. To my knowledge, I would call it a roommate.
How many roommates did you have?
1.
How many people lived in the house?
2. Myself and The roommate.
Which roommate?
At the time of this incident, it would be Mr. Santoyo.
The property contains a house and some property that allows you to have chickens and a rooster.
Yes.
Where did you get the chickens and the rooster from?
From the Vista Feed Store in Vista, California.
Were they young when you got them?
Yes, they're 3 days old.
Got one rooster?
The crux of the matter is that when you get chicks, you do not know the sex of them, so it becomes problematic later. And some people don't get roosters at all.
You got one rooster?
Yes.
How many chicks?
There were 6.
So you have 5 hens?
Yes. They're no longer in my possession. They're in Valley Center.
What's Valley Center?
It's a place near outside San Diego where chickens are legal. The problem is that roosters, after I received a letter in the 15th of January, I've discovered that roosters were not legal.
Where you lived?
Correct.
Okay. So this is what the case is about. Now I have a little bit of the background, what you were doing there. Your son was living with him as a tenant. You're paying $800 a month rent, and the defendant learned that you did house cleaning.
Yes.
That was your company, and you just...
A small company.
And you started to clean the premises.
Correct.
Where your son also lived.
Yes.
And it is your claim that the rooster that was there was an aggressive rooster and attacked you on 2 separate occasions during the time you were cleaning, and you want to be compensated to the tune of $7,000. Okay, so we have certain givens. We have a given that you were cleaning there, given.
There was an offer made to clean.
And she did.
Yes.
And you did pay her.
Yes, but it was, if I may, it was my decision to pay her. At first she offered to do it for...
Whatever, you paid her.
Yes.
It was a service that she was offering.
Correct.
How much did you pay her?
$100 the first time.
How many times did you clean the house?
I cleaned this home from October 17, 2020 till December the 11th, 2020.
I'm going to ask
About
you
6
again.
times.
How many times did you go to his house to clean his house?
In that time spent 6 times.
And how much did he pay you each time you went?
Between $40 and $60. I never got paid $100.
Between $40 and $60 a day. And I assume you visited your son there, so you knew that Mr. Erdman had a rooster and chickens.
That's correct.
And of the 6 times, you only had a problem, according to your papers, with the rooster on 2 occasions.
That's correct.
The first occasion was in October.
No, December the 8th.
12/8.
Yes.
Okay. On 12/8, describe what happened with the rooster.
I went outside to take the trash out.
What
to the
time?
alley. I would say around 10:45 a.m.
What time had you arrived that day? Do you recall?
9 a.m.
So you went outside to take the garbage out?
Yes.
And?
And Mr. Erdman was standing to my left by the coop, petting his hens, and the hens were in the coop, and the rooster was in the coop. And as I was coming back from the alley, I was walking on the walkway, and I don't know how it happened. All of a sudden, the rooster just came up. Actually, it's as huge as a turkey, 30 pounds. Came up, came at me, scratched me, and I had enough time just to put my arm up so it wouldn't hit in my face.
Oh, it scratched your arm?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a picture of your arm?
Yes. That is just the first time.
Just a second. I'm just taking a look. I want to see. Okay. Okay, so it scratched you with a claw.
Yeah, with the claws.
It scratched you with a claw. This
Yes.
scratch. Okay. You didn't seek medical attention for this? It's a
Not for
scratch.
this, no.
It's a scratch.
Yes.
Okay. Want to see the scratch?
I can see them here, thank
It's
you.
a scratch. Okay. So that's October 8th. Next.
The next injury was December the 11th.
Now, between the 8th and the 11th, had you been back to the house?
Yes, on the 10th for my regular cleaning service.
Anything happened on the 10th?
No. Everything went fine.
Just a second. So on the 10th, you were there and everything was fine. Do you remember getting paid on the 10th?
Yes.
How much did you get paid on the 10th?
$40.
And you put some peroxide on this thing,
Correct.
or you put something on and it went away?
Yes, Neosporin.
Okay. Now tell me what happened on the 11th.
The 11th, I came to Mr. Erdman's home at 9 a.m. He was highly upset.
Just a second. Highly upset is a conclusion. What did he say to you and what did you say to him?
I rang the doorbell. He opened the door. I asked him why the boxes and things from the front room was not picked up, because the day before I didn't have time to clean the floor.
Just a second. he opened the door and you said to him,
good morning.
And?
I came in and I looked around and I asked him, Robert, you didn't pick up the things that we agreed on the day before.
Okay, explain that to me. You had had a discussion the day before about picking up what?
I was supposed to do the wood flooring. He's a very renowned photographer, so he had boxes, pictures, papers, business papers, all stacked up. And in order for me to do the floor, he had told me the day before that he would clear everything out.
Clear everything out. So you walked in and you said, Robert, you didn't clean up so that I could do the floor.
Yes.
And he said to you?
He said, I don't want to discuss the floor. I want to discuss Jose. Where's Jose? He hasn't been here 3 nights, and I'm tired of him not coming home at night. And
just a second. So he said to you, I don't want to discuss the floor. I want to discuss your son.
Yes.
He hasn't been home for 3 nighs.
Yes.
And what did you say to him?
He said, I feel that he should be more active, be more of a friend in the home, to be here in the evenings. And I told him, I'm not in charge of my son. I mean, he's 39 years old. And there is nothing I can do to influence him to be home at night. And the conversation continued with me. I told him, I don't want to continue this conversation. I will finish the windows. And the conversation was kind of done for me. I proceeded to prepare.
Okay. What happened next?
Judy Thomas claims her former employer, Robert Erdman, owes for medical costs and lost wages resulting from 2 rooster attacks.
Now, what happened next?
As I was doing the windows, everything was fine. Mr. Erdman went out to his coop. I was doing the bay windows in the inside and proceeded to the French doors. And as I finished the inside, I went to the kitchen sink, which is facing, I guess, east. And the French doors are this way, so I couldn't see behind me, so I was changing the water. And while I was changing the water, Mr. Erdman, I presume he came in, or I'm thinking he came in while I was standing, because when I turned around with the bucket, I went this way, went towards the French doors, and looked down, and there was this ill hen in
a what?
He had a sick hen that was dying, so he had it in a little basket and a blanket, and he put it right in front. These are the windows right in front of the door. So when I went out, I turned around. Here's my bucket, and I'm looking at this hen, and I'm thinking.
You turned around, you saw a hen you hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And
I'm doing the window, so I'm turning around thinking, where is this rooster? And as I'm turning around, the rooster comes this way from the hen, claws me, and I'm up like this. I hit it down, otherwise it would have been clawed more.
No. Don't tell me what otherwise. Oh. So the rooster clawed you again?
Yes.
Do you have pictures of that injury?
Yes. That's the only picture I have. I didn't take more. I just didn't think to take more. That was the same day.
Okay. So this is a healed scratch.
This is the old one.
Just a second. Yeah. This is a healed scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And these 2 marks come from this rooster attack on the 11th.
On the 11th, yes.
Okay. So did you seek emergency treatment for these?
No, I did not.
So there is no medical report?
No.
What did you do for these 2 marks?
These 2 marks are combined with my ankle. So when they both happened the same day, the same time, I also got injured on my ankle. The rooster, I whipped it down, it went down, and it pecked me 3 times.
On the ankle?
Yes.
Well, where's the photograph of it?
Right here.
I'd like to see it.
Actually, just take them out. They dated in order.
Well, what you're suggesting to me is that there's a puncture in your foot that caused it to swell.
Yeah, the
I'd like to see a medical record of that.
I don't have medical insurance. I don't go to the doctors here. What I did, I went to Mexico. I saw a certified pharmacist. I do all my medications through Mexico. I don't have health insurance. I'm a Rasta. So I don't go to the doctor here. What I do is I have 28 years experience in the medical field. I'm a retired RN. I worked for the Navy, Balboa Medical Center. So I took my medical advice and I had
whatever it was, you treated this
on my
alleged wound on your foot from the rooster.
Yes.
Go. Let's not even talk about December 8th when she got scratched. I don't have to hear about it. I want you to go
By the time it was December 11th, there had been previous conversations about steering clear of the rooster because it was aggressive.
Which is probably why it's not legal.
Yes, entirely true. Also because it's quite noisy,
Yeah.
more to the point.
He didn't interrupt you. Don't interrupt him.
The conversation at the door when Miss Thomas walked in was heated, and it was...
Why was it heated, Mr. Erdman?
Miss Thomas was extremely angry that the papers weren't taken up and gave me a lecture about it.
No, that's a conclusion. What did she say, and what did you say?
I don't have an exact recollection of it. I can say that it was heated. I'm going to leave it at that.
Heated on both sides or heated on just one side?
Both sides.
Both. Okay, so now there's a heated discussion. The heated discussion is over. She continues to do her work.
Yeah, it affected the dynamics of the next hour, I would say. And that was part of the lack of additional dialogue concerning the whereabouts of the rooster who was out with the chickens free range every day. So rather than asking me, or rather than closing the doors, as there had been discussions about keeping away from the rooster, the doors were left open. I would say by both of us, I would say. There was a chicken in the house because it was going to go to the vets. Yes, Miss Thomas was scratched by the rooster. The rooster can't fly up high up enough to scratch. There's a thing called flogging, which is where they use the back of their claws to go at people. I did express concern. I asked if she needed attention. And
that was on the 11th?
Yes.
Okay. On the 11th, did you see these 2 claw marks on her arm?
I only remember the one towards her ankle. She showed it to me.
But nothing on the arm?
We didn't discuss the arm, so I can't tell you that. I'm sorry.
Okay. After the 11th of December, did Miss Thomas come back to work for you?
I haven't kept the record, but I do not think so.
After the 11th, Miss Thomas, did you come back to work for Mr. Erdman?
No, I got terminated the same night.
Tell me how that happened.
I sent him a text message with the pictures of my injuries.
I'd like to see the text message that you sent him, and I'd like to see his response. Here. So she sent you a note on that day showing you her swollen foot.
Yes, I remember.
And you said to her, "Good evening, I'm sorry to see that your foot is swollen. I will talk to the vet on Tuesday about trimming back his claw."
Correct.
And then you say to her, "Judy, I think that under the circumstances, that as much as I regret it, it would not be a good idea to have you here on a regular basis. Unfortunately, there is nothing more to discuss on the subject. You are always, of course, welcome here with Jose's invitation. Happy holidays to you. All the best." Now, you sent the defendant a photograph of your foot, and it was clearly swollen. You treated it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take after you treated it yourself for the swelling to go down?
3.5 weeks.
Do you have any proof of that?
It's only shows in the picture because they are dated. I have 8 weeks of pictures, so they all dated in the back. That's the process of the healing. So it starts with the 8 until the 29th of December, and then I have the other ones that show from December until the end of January, where it's getting better and better, but these are all
Ms.
dated.
Thomas, did you go to see an attorney?
No.
These are very angry pictures.
Judy Thomas claims her former employer, Robert Erdman, owes for medical costs and lost wages resulting from 2 rooster attacks.
Now, did you ever think of getting a tetanus shot?
I had my last tetanus shot 7 years ago.
So what did you do to treat
I
this
took antibiotics.
that you got yourself?
Yes.
From Mexico?
Yes.
Did you ever communicate with the defendant after December 11th?
Yes.
When?
I sent him text messages from the 11th. I have him in my phone. I almost communicated with him on a weekly basis. I send him pictures, updates.
I would like to see the last update you sent him with regard to your injury. Do you recall when that was, Mr. Erdman?
No, I do not. I deleted all the messages from Ms. Wahlberg about a month ago when I was leaving for where I was going next.
Didn't you think that by keeping you updated that she was going to sue you? I mean, otherwise, why would she keep you updated?
Here.
Did I think she was going to sue me? It's plausible. I didn't think of it on a regular basis.
The update, yes.
Okay, so the last email that you sent him with a photograph was on the 1st of January of 2021. And it's a 3-week update today, still very sore with a hard bump at both sites, palpable at the touch and visible to the eye. Right forearm is healed with visible scarring. And then on January 3rd, Mr. Erdman writes back to you, I have repeatedly texted your son regarding his move out. He has notified me of his intention to move out on the 3rd, which is tomorrow. The rent is due on the 1st of the month, and while I have made allowances for him for late payment, that is no longer an option. I would suggest that you make sure that he's getting his text in case he has had issues with his phone. I have no interest in hearing back from you. I am contacting you so that there is sufficient evidence that I have tried my best to contact Jose. And then you respond to him. Listen, real good, you piece of blank landlord. First off, your mistake is you have no contact with my son. He does not have to move out on January 3rd, 2021. What is wrong with you? Do you know anything about renters' rights? And then there's an expletive. He only lived there 2.5 months, and you went crazy as so-called landlord. Now he is moving, and you as a landlord need to give him his appropriate time to move out and find appropriate accommodations. I do not understand your problem, but you need help. Also, now regarding the injury I sustained in December 2020 at your home by your rooster while in your cleaning service, would you like to address this issue? I have been contacting you for at least 3 weeks via text. Called, did not get any answer, and forwarded my injury pictures regarding this injury, and you have not responded once. Please let me know how you would like to handle or move forward with this issue by the end of January. After this date, I will file a case in small claims court against you with a valid animal control case. Looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, so she did contact you, Mr. Erdman, and send you photographs during that 3-week period of her swollen leg, an injury. How did you propose to address it? You do understand that the animal injured her on your property while she was working there, and you are responsible for that.
I would say that the aggressive behavior kept me from knowing what to do, and if she was going to take me to small claims court, she would do so. It's very simple. Her behavior and that kind of language was enough in that text.
Well, enough after 3 weeks of contacting you when she hadn't heard from you, Mr. Erdman. I mean, neither one of you appear to be aggressive kind of people. The fact that you resorted to language that was unbecoming a lady.
Can
that
I
happens.
say why?
No. It's not important. You did. And he should have responded because it was his animal. His animal became aggressive. He was there. It was his responsibility to contain what he knew to be an aggressive animal. He evidently knew that one of the claws was too long. You didn't do anything aggressively towards the animal. He is responsible for it. You're suing him for $7,000. I actually believe that you are entitled to that. You had at least 3 weeks worth of injury and discomfort, and I think that you are entitled to what you're suing for, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $7,000. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
The rooster was supposed to be kept in its coop at all times while I was in service.
You'd have to ask her why she kept on coming back. I have no idea why.
And I believe he purposely left the rooster out.
Oh, I think it's just a difference in attitude about life in general.
Just a very eccentric guy, so there was lots of ups and downs having to deal with, age differences and everything like that. So.
Don't buy chickens and you might get a rooster.
Thank you, Judge Judy, for giving this Judy justice.
Well, that was a much more interesting case than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I was surprised that you granted her the entire $7,000 that she was asking for with no medical bills, no receipts, I just thought that was interesting, sort of out of character for you.
I was moved by the fact that she wasn't making up her injury, that she had documented both in photograph and in text messages to him over that whole 3-week period, that her leg was swollen. He acknowledged that he saw the injury on the day that it happened. And the fact that during that 3-week period, he didn't say, is there something that you need from me? Acknowledging responsibility. Yeah. He did not. And she suffered an injury for 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I was impressed that she documented it. I loved your question. Did you meet with an attorney before you started documenting? No. She knew that it was going to be something that was going to come up later, and she kept her documents in order, which is just how we like it.
Right. Perfect. I think she was much more credible, and I was surprised at the case and surprised at the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's unusual.
Eileen Dunlap is suing her neighbor, Regina Davidson, for vet bills from a dog fight.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1092, Dunlap versus Davidson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Dunlap, you and Miss Davidson are neighbors.
Yes.
She lives across the street from you.
Correct.
How long have you been neighbors?
About 3 years or so.
How long have you lived in your house?
3 years, yeah.
How long have you lived in your house, Miss Davidson?
3 years.
When you moved in, did you have a dog?
No.
When you moved in, did you have a dog?
No.
So within the last 3 years, you got a dog. When?
We received our dog in November. We adopted him.
What kind of a dog is he?
A white mini schnauzer.
How old was he when you got him?
6 years old.
What kind of a dog did you get?
A cane corso.
And he's a big guy.
She is a big dog. She's going to be a big dog. She's only a year old.
And how much does she weigh?
Like 90 pounds.
It's a big dog.
Yep.
Your claim is a simple one. Your claim is that the defendant's dog got out, ran across the street, bit your dog, and you want her to be responsible for all the vet bills that were attendant to that dog bite.
Correct.
From a reading of Miss Davidson's answer, I gather that she does not dispute the fact that her dog bit yours. Her defense seems to be that your dog was also unleashed. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay. On what date did this take place?
June 5th, 2021.
And I gather from your complaint that you were not at home.
No.
When you left your house, you left your dog, whose name is?
Sir Duke.
You left Sir Duke outside.
Correct.
Is your yard fenced?
No, it is not.
So how did you secure him if you put him outside?
There's a leash back there, and he was leashed. And the leash is actually green, so it blends in with the grass, but he's leashed. It's about
So you left him outside in your backyard?
Correct.
Did you leave him water?
Yes, we did. Yes.
What time did you leave?
We left at about 9:45-ish.
In the morning?
In the morning, yes.
What time will you due home?
We were due home at about 10:30 at the latest.
Do you usually leave Sir Duke outside when you go?
Not normally. Every so often, if we know if it's a quick trip, we'll leave him on the leash in the backyard with a bowl of water because he loves to be outside. He actually barks at the neighbor's dog. We say they talk to each other in the backyard.
Well, some of the neighbors who don't have dogs might not love that. However, you have motion detectors.
Yes.
Facing the backyard?
Correct. Backyard and the size of the house, yes.
So you put Sir Duke outside. Yes. So tell me what happened on the 5th.
So on the 5th of June, so we're away from the house at this point, and we have our security camera set up to where if there's any type of motion on our property, it alerts us on our phones. So we were getting an alert that there was movement on the side of our house, and we noticed that was quite a bit of movement. For it to be Sir Duke, it was just strange. So we pulled up the security camera, and that is when we noticed the actual attack. We saw Regina's dog attack our dog, and then shortly after that, we saw a young man come and grab the dog off of our dog and run away. You don't see where they go, but they leave out of the sight of camera. So we see this and we rushed home immediately. We're home at about, I would say maybe the attacks happened at 10. We're home at about 10:15-ish. So we rush in. I go immediately to Sir Duke. I get him off the leash and I pick him up. I see that he's bleeding on his back. And so I pick him up and now he's in my arms. I also have a 2-year-old daughter, so I'm holding her hand and I have Sir Duke in my arm. And so now we're coming from the back of the house because at this point he was bleeding in the backyard alone. And so I picked him up, took him around to the front of the house where my husband was speaking with Regina in the front of the house. So he's having a conversation with her. He confronted her.
Could you stand up? Your last name is?
Dunlap.
Mr. Dunlap, pick it up from where your wife left off. She said you were having a discussion with Miss Davidson. How did that come about?
When we rushed home and pulled up in the driveway, when my wife grabbed my daughter, they went to the back. I looked over and I witnessed Regina, and she was taking pictures
in front of her lawn of her kids. It looked like a graduation because they had it posted on the front yard. I was heated because I noticed, you're doing that and this situation just happened. So I went over there and I confronted her and I said,
what did you say to her?
I said, you need to get rid of the dog or do something about that dog. And she said, how are you gonna tell me to get rid of my dog? I told her twice your dog came into our yard. I said, but this time it actually attacked our dog. With the first time, it jumped over my bushes and ran our window trying to get at our dog while he was barking in the house.
When did that happen?
When did that occur?
2, maybe 3 months prior to the incident.
Did you discuss with Miss Davidson at that time that her dog was in your backyard?
She was present when it happened. So the incident that happened, I was in the yard with the lawn guy. My dog was in the house, but in the window barking. And so her dog ran to our window and was trying to get in through the window and through my front door. And she came over into my yard to get her dog as well as the young man she has with her.
You remember that incident?
I do.
So that incident should have been a warning to you.
It was.
It was?
It was.
Okay. When Mr. Dunlap came over to see you on June the 5th, on the date of this incident, the young man who went and retrieved the dog is who?
My son.
Were you taking pictures out front?
I was.
Where was your son?
He was coming out through the garage and...
What's his first name?
Darren.
I have a question for you. Stand up.
Jane Dunlap claims her neighbor, Regina Davidson, owes for vet bills after Regina's dog attacked her dog.
How did you let the dog out on June 5th?
I was coming out of the garage, and I usually close the door pretty quick, and on that day, the dog was right behind me. So when I went to go close the door, she ran out because she heard barking across the street. So when she ran, I ran right behind her to go get her, and she was in the middle of the street, and she heard the barking, and she made a left into the backyard. And I was right behind her, so as soon as she ran into the dog, I grabbed her by her collar.
Now, just a second. So you actually ran on the plaintiff's property?
Yes.
In the backyard?
Uh-huh.
And that's where... Don't speak to him. And that's where you pulled your dog off of the plaintiff's dog?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Davidson, I want you to try to explain to me on what possible theory you believe that you are not responsible for all of these vet bills. What possible theory? Because you appear to be an intelligent woman, he appears to be an intelligent young man. What possible theory, knowing that your dog has a propensity to run across the street, because it's done it before, knowing that it's a 90-pound animal that's unpredictable, knowing that as a result of your son's negligence, the dog was out of the house, not under his control, went on the plaintiff's property, bit their dog, which they incurred hundreds of dollars in vet bills. You tell me what possible excuse you can have for not paying the vet bills.
Well, when I spoke to Miss Dunlap about the incident that happened when her husband approached me in a very negative way, and it was beyond my control because I was outside at the time, like he said, that I was...
Just to say you were outside, but it's your dog. It's not his dog. It's your dog.
It's our dog.
No, it's your dog. How old are you?
25.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a student right now.
It's your dog. You pay for it, you feed it, you provide all the food for it, but he's a student. It's your dog. It's your responsibility. He's in your house. His negligence is your negligence. I mean, if you have homeowners insurance, do you?
Yes, I do.
Well, does your homeowners insurance policy cover this kind of incident?
No.
Did you report to your insurance company when you got this dog?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in Missouri.
You want to tell me why you didn't report this dog?
My brother purchased the dog. I am his power of attorney, so as I explained to her, my brother was going to try to make restitution for the dog bite. But when Miss Taylene went to call the animal control on my dog after we had discussed the fact of trying to work something out during that time, and if my dog is that vicious, why would you come to my house with your dog?
Let me ask you this question. If your dog ran across the street and she has a young child, and instead of biting her dog, jumped on her child, your dog has already done it twice, 2 times. I might have reported it the first time to animal control that this 90-pound dog ran across the street. I have a young child that also plays in the backyard. Okay. It's your dog in your house. I don't care if your brother got it for you. I don't care if it was a gift. It's your dog. It lives in your house. It's your responsibility. Is that dog on the vicious list?
Yes.
In Missouri?
Generally, it depends by insurance company, but there's a list of generally blacklisted high-risk animals, and a cane corso.
Well, the
is
animal
included.
control.
Just let me explain to you, just so that you know. Do you own your house?
No.
Do you own property? Do you have money in the bank?
Yes.
Yes. You have to have renter's insurance.
I do.
Good. You better tell them that you have a dog that's on the high-risk list in the state where you live. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Otherwise, if, God forbid, that dog, which has already been out at least twice that I know about, hurts somebody else, they're going to take away everything you have.
Well,
not a well. I'm telling you, this is not a well.
I understand.
I'm telling you
exactly what you're saying. When the dog patrol came to my house and she said what she had told her, that my dog was vicious, and she came to see
It
my
is
dog.
vicious.
My dog's not vicious.
Of course
I don't
it's
think
vicious.
he's vicious.
It came across the street and it attacked their animal that was on their property. And if a child had been outside screaming or crying or laughing in the backyard, and for some reason your dog didn't like the pitch of that and ran across the street, which it has done so far as I know 2 times, maybe more, but I know of at least 2 times, then that dog is potentially vicious.
Well, my dog's around kids all the time.
I have to tell you this, madam.
Mm-hmm.
They put dogs on a potentially vicious list for a reason, and that's because probably 40% of the 330 million people that live in this country have dogs, and they report dog incidents. Vets report dog incidents.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitals report dog attacks. Newspapers print articles and print the breed of a dog that has caused either injury or death. So insurance companies have compiled lists of those dogs, and there are hundreds of registered breeds of dogs. The list of potentially vicious dogs is relatively short, 10, 12 out of hundreds. If you choose to have one of those dogs and that dog has already injured somebody or something, a living thing, they are absolutely not only within their rights, it's almost a public service and a mandate for them to report it to animal control. You know, I used to do another program. On the desk of that program, I had articles and letters people sent to me who complained that they thought I was being unfair to a particular breed of dog. And I remember one letter that was by a man whose grandchild, only grandchild, was mauled by a pit bull. And he said to me in the letter, I was the last person my son called to tell me that my 5-year-old grandchild had been mauled by the dog because I had been begging them to get rid of the dog. And they said, the dog is a sweet dog. The dog loves the boy. Turned in a minute. And when my Shih Tzu decides that it doesn't like me and wants to nip me, or a child, it gets a nip. But when a 90-pound dog decides to turn, it can kill you. So you have to make sure that there's no negligence so that it's not out of your control, and you don't cop an attitude because they called animal control.
Elaine Dunlap claims her neighbor, Regina Davidson, owes for vet bills after Regina's dog attacked her dog.
How much were your vet bills?
I believe $705.88 to be exact.
$705.88. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here.
Court is adjourned.
Well, dogs do what they do. When a dog is barking at you, a dog is going to come and answer that bark.
I'm still trying to figure out how she's justifying that.
But at the same time, like I said, sometimes things happen beyond my control.
And I almost shed a tear because, as she said, we have a 2-year-old daughter.
It wasn't like I sent my dog over there to knock on her door.
And now we're not comfortable with either one of them being outside right now, unattended, you know, and so.
I don't have any animosity or grief against them, but I'm moving anyway, so.
It's unfortunate. I'm glad that she said she's moving. The neighborhood will be much better.
You know, I remember we had a dog that I loved dearly. We had her for 13 years. Her name was Lulu. Remember Lulu? Mm-hmm. And she was a sweet dog. She didn't like a couple of things. She didn't like when you got too close to me. And she didn't like it when we woke her up in the morning on the bed. When I would go to pick her up on the bed, she would nip at me. You know, that's the way an animal responds. That's why they're animals and unpredictable. But you have to be careful when you have big ones. I mean, that's the takeaway message from, if you choose to have a big dog, then you also have to accept the responsibility that that big dog can have a bad day.
Has the potential, no matter how friendly or loving you believe the dog to be. It can turn on a dime, and at the end of the day, they're uncontrollable.
So you have to be careful. When you have a big dog, you have bigger responsibilities, and you have to recognize it.
Case 1075, Peraz versus Baldian. All parties, please step forward.
Monique Peraz is suing her former boyfriend, Christopher Baldian, for his portion of a trip.
Well, the case is relatively simple. Miss Peraz, this used to be a friend of yours, a little bit of a boyfriend. And you and some friends all decided to take a trip. The trip was, I think, to Cancun, Mexico. Trip had to be paid. You ended up paying for the trip. According to you, you broke up. And initially, he said he was going to take you on the trip, but since you are no longer together as a couple in any way, shape, or form, you're prepared to take care of your own ticket. You just want him to take care of his because, according to you, you did not get a refund on the trip.
Correct.
The defendant says, well, he did, in fact, pay $600 towards the trip, and that's all he's going to pay. He said that he believes you got a full refund for the trip. That's what you say, correct?
Yes.
And you have proof of that?
I don't have proof of that.
Well, you were not coming to the beach today, Mr. Baldian?
Yeah, everything was in her name, so I didn't have access to pull any of the information. I called and I verified with Priceline. They said that the refund...
Well, all you need is a letter from them, sir, that refund on the trip was made. How am I supposed to do that? Just say, well, it was paid. I spoke to somebody on the phone. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds ridiculous. I'm glad you agree with me.
I wasn't expecting to
And
hear.
the facts are relatively straightforward. I don't have to go into the back and forth and back and forth. You weren't married, you were together, then you weren't together, then you were together for a little bit. Who cares? There was a trip that was paid for, and the entire cost of the trip was what?
It was...
Don't look up in the sky.
Sorry.
Look down at a piece of paper.
Well, there was 2 different loans, one for the hotel and one for the flight. And the
Just tell me the total cost of the trip.
Okay, $3,000.
$3,000 even?
No, it was...
Oh, my God. I'm almost ready to leave.
Sorry. It was $3,811.
I'd like to see proof of that, please.
Okay. Okay, so that's one total, and then that's the other.
So one was 1981, and the other was 1016. That's $2,997, not $3,800.
Yeah. Sorry, I get nervous around math.
That's what I was dealing with for months, trying to get a number.
Don't mutter. I have a difficult time enough hearing when you're speaking up.
I sent him those exact
Don't
shots.
talk to me when I'm trying to use my calculator. That means that each of you, if I cut that in half, each of you should have paid $1,498. So what kind of a credit or refund did you get?
So they separated it with the flights, so I can't change the name of the flights. There's $945 and $34 is for the hotel. That's his.
Did you get that back?
So yeah, it's a refund, but that only he could use under his name. It's split between both of us for the hotel and the flight.
Okay, so he could use it and you can use it. He can use $900 worth.
For the hotel, and then it's for something for the flight.
I don't care. Did you give that to him?
No, because I want him to pay me for his portion, and then I'll give him his e-ticket.
His portion is $1,498. He says he paid $600, did he, on the loan?
He did.
Just think before you answer the question. He says he paid on his credit card that you took $600 towards the trip. Is that correct?
I don't know if it's $600, but he did put the down payment for each loan, which was, I think, $2 something.
You know
for each
something?
one.
Let me tell you what I think. I think you have to be prepared when you come to court. And neither of you are prepared today. So I'm going to do you both a big favor. I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You can refile it. And before you come back to me, have all your ducks in a row, all your evidence here, anything that you need to plead your case. Do you understand? Perfect. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
I'm a little frustrated.
I think it was perfect. She didn't have enough evidence at all to begin with, which is the reason why we're here.
I just want his half of the trip. That's it. Because it's just sitting there. I already paid for it, so.
You know, I wanted to see some proof that she, actually paid it.
Oh, we weren't interested in each other at all. So cancel the trip.
She wants to see me one last time. Okay?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little more prepared.
20-year-old Elizabeth Bursiaga Evans is suing former roommates Tamara McClinton and Coyote Taylor Jr. for an unpaid loan and an assault.
Come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 1073, Marciaga Evans versus McClinton Taylor Jr.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Evans.
Yes.
These used to be your roommates.
Yes.
You had a boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's you?
Yeah, that's him.
And he was friendly with you.
Yes, ma'am.
So the four of you decided to rent an apartment together.
Mm-hmm.
On what date?
November 7th.
2020.
Yes.
And at the time, according to your complaint, the defendants didn't have their half of the move-in money.
Correct.
Which was how much?
Their part was $1,245.
And they were supposed to give it back to you. You put in the full amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Is not an answer. Yes is an
Yes,
answer.
correct. Sorry.
Great. And their response to that, because I'm going to take this case in pieces, because that's part of what you're suing for.
Correct.
The $1,245. Now, who wants to tell me you acknowledge that you didn't have the money to put down when you came in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And you acknowledge that you told her that you would give her the money at some point.
Yes.
Did you give her the money?
Not yet, Your Honor.
So that you still owe the money?
Partial.
What part?
Well, we had been paying for groceries and everything and cooking for them. It was pretty much like having two extra kids. And so out of that money, she said that can be deducted from the money that we owed her.
I did not.
Oh, just a second.
Sorry.
Well, if, forget about cooking for them or cleaning up after them. That wasn't an arrangement. And that's not even what you say in your answer. Do you remember what you wrote in your answer?
Yes.
Okay. It had nothing to do with cooking and taking care of them like children. Did you keep receipts from all the food?
No, Your Honor.
Then how are you supposed to know how much you owe them?
She said that she was keeping track of it.
How could she keep track if you were going shopping?
Because I was going with her. She was with us every time we went grocery shopping. So
Well, if you went grocery shopping and you were paying, you got the receipt.
I didn't find the need to keep it.
Well,
she was
then that's your problem. Was that the arrangement you made with her that they would
No,
go
Your
both?
Honor.
No, of course not. All right, so then you owe $1,245. That's for starters. And then you want damages for an assault and harassment. I don't know about the harassment. Who assaulted you and when?
She did. She came to my door one day telling me
What door?
My room door, my bedroom door.
Okay. On what date did you move out?
July 1st, exactly July 1st.
July 1.
2021.
And on what date did this incident happen where she came to your door?
June 6th.
I'm listening.
Basically, she came to me telling me she wanted to talk to me. I said, okay. We went out to the living room. We ended up talking.
Slowly.
Sorry. We had went to the living room. We ended up talking about how she was telling me her husband felt uncomfortable in the kitchen. He felt that we were watching him through our door, and we weren't doing that. So I had to tell her we weren't. Things escalated. She ended up getting upset, and that's when she attacked me, and I had to defend myself.
Well, how did she attack you?
She went for my hair, and she started pulling my hair and dragging me.
She went to pull your hair and back and forth, and what did you do?
I tried to defend myself by
How did you do that?
fighting back.
Well, tell me what you did.
I tried to get her off of me and tried to get her hair to
So you were each pulling each other's hair?
Yes.
Okay. Did either one of you go to a hospital?
No.
Did either one of you see a doctor?
No.
Did you stay in the apartment on June 7th?
It was June 6th, but no, I had left right after the fight.
So you never moved back to the apartment?
No, I did, but I had left that day.
So were you there on June 7th
Yes,
is my
I was.
question.
Correct.
And were there on June 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th,
Correct.
12th,
Yes.
13th, all the way up to July?
Correct.
Okay. So far they owe you $1,245. Are we finished with your claim?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Now I have a counterclaim. Counterclaim is about lost wages and something about COVID and for filing a false restraining order. Let's go.
We had contacted COVID through Elizabeth on, I believe it was between January 1st of 2021 and January 6th, 2021.
A lot of people contracted COVID from each other.
Yes, Your Honor, but she failed to let us know that she had lost her taste and smell a few days after noticing, after we had all played Monopoly and a drinking game all together, drinking off of the same bottles. During that time, she didn't have her taste or smell, but she failed to let us know.
Yeah.
Was she tested?
She did get tested.
According to what you know, did she test positive for COVID and then fail to tell you?
Yes. She told us a few days after her results.
That's
Oh.
That's incorrect. I had let them know the day I lost my taste and smell. I said I didn't know if I had COVID or not, so I'm going to get tested as soon as possible. I have my test results. I got tested literally a few days later on the 6th, and I came back positive, and I let them know that I wasn't able to taste or smell, though. I didn't know if I had COVID or not for sure, though, but I told them, I'm sick. Just want to let you guys know I can't taste or smell, but I'm not sure if I have COVID or not. And before I had I got sick, she was already sick with the cough before that, too, and she was working. I have right here her telling me that if I was sick because she felt sick and that she was getting the chills and that at her job there was all kinds of COVID cases. So
can I see that,
yes.
please?
Year-old Elizabeth Berziaga Evans claims former roommates Tamara McClinton and Tyote Taylor Jr. owe for an unpaid loan and an assault. Tamara and Tyote are countersuing for lost wages and filing a false restraining order.
Okay, well, this is written in December.
Yes.
Who is the green?
That's me.
So you wrote to her, you're probably not up, but do you all feel sick? Not from the food. What does this mean? IMAO.
LMAO, laughing my off.
Oh, thank you. Like a cold sick. And then you say,
LOL, laugh out loud.
Laugh out loud. I have a little cough that comes and goes. Our job has new cases. This is in December.
Yes, Your Honor.
Our job has new cases of COVID, so you must have felt as if you had a cold.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Every week this lady said, right now when I was working with her, I said, I'm going to get tested. That's you. I'm not going to say anything to the job yet because I don't want them to be like, oh my God, come back after you get the results. So you said, am I reading this right? You said to her, I'm going to get tested, but I'm not going to say anything to anybody at my job because I don't want them to tell me to come back after I get the results. So let me understand this. What is your last name?
McClinton.
Miss McClinton, your countersuit against her is that she had lost her taste and smell, and she didn't tell you right away, right?
Correct.
And as a result of that, you got COVID.
After
Just a second. As a result of that, you got COVID. And what you wrote 2.5 weeks before is that you were feeling sick at work, but you weren't going to tell anybody. You were going to get a test because you didn't want them to say, goodbye, come back after you get the results if you're not feeling well. Am I reading this right?
Yes, you are.
Your countersuit is dismissed.
Okay.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,245. Thank you very much. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
I did not have COVID. I just had a cold that I received from my daughter.
I feel like she had it and she didn't know.
We had a disagreement on how she let us know that her boyfriend had put his hands on her.
I wouldn't understand where they got that from at all. I was like, as you can see, we're happily together.
If anything, she was gonna file anything. She waited until like weeks later, months later. You should have just filed it right away.
Never move in with roommates again.
That was really funny that the entire counterclaim was all for something that the plaintiff proved the defendant herself did. Again, clean hands. You don't get to come here and ask for help when you yourself are committing what you're claiming.
I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of these COVID-related cases because I think that people did a lot of foolish things initially during COVID, didn't understand the nature and seriousness of the disease. But that's pretty serious because December, January, people knew how serious it was, and to keep that to yourself was a real problem. It was interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how the courts handle the COVID litigation that's going to come out of this.
Right.
Case 1070, West Boats versus Porter. All parties, please step forward.
LaShavia West is suing videographer Chad Porter for the production costs of a music video she never received.
You are Miss?
I'm LaShavia West.
You have a band?
No, I'm a music artist and I also put on events. He's a promoter and we do a lot of events together.
Did the both of you hire the defendant to do a video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
When?
We actually first paid him March 29th.
Of this year?
Oh, I'm sorry, March 29th, 2021. Yes, ma'am.
And when was he to produce the video?
2 weeks after it was videoed, April 11th. Okay. And I have evidence of it.
Okay. And when did he get the video to you?
I never received it to this date.
How much did you pay him?
We paid him $1,500.
You have a claim against him for $10,000.
Yes, ma'am.
How much was the total price that you were supposed to pay him?
Was $1,500 for him to film and shoot.
But he did film and shoot.
Yes, ma'am.
Is what you're telling me that you never received a video from him?
No, ma'am.
Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Tell me when they got the video.
We sent her a rough draft.
When?
I think it was March 28th.
No,
Just
it
don't
was May
speak.
28th.
Don't speak.
May 28th.
May 28th. It was May 28th. We sent her a rough draft, and I explained to her it was a rough draft and that it was more that needed to be done to it, and it's not the final copy.
Did you ever make a final copy?
Yes, I have one, and it's here.
Okay. Did you ever give it to them?
No, ma'am, because she said that she was suing me, so I said, let's take this to court then.
But you have a final one.
Yes, ma'am.
I actually have a clip of the what was supposed to be the full preview that I received a month and a half later.
Listen to me. I asked you a question. I said, did you receive anything? You said no.
No, I didn't receive the video. That wasn't the video.
What
that
did
was
you?
That was what they call the full preview, but it wasn't a full preview.
So you did, in fact, receive something from them.
After, a month and a half later.
I don't care whether it was a month and a half later. You have a written contract with them?
No, we have an invoice.
Do you have a signed written contract with them?
No.
Does the invoice specify anything other than the price and say video footage?
Yes.
May I see it?
We also hired him for other
Just
behind-the-scene events.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the whole price was $1,750. That includes the recap video. I don't know what that means, and I don't care.
That was other footage. We have also hired him for other event footage that we had other events.
Okay, so the whole thing together was $1,750 or
$1,500, ma'am.
$1,500, and you gave him the $1,500.
Yes,
that was just a video.
You acknowledge that. Yes. Okay, would you take a look at this and just show me where it says it has to be delivered by a certain date?
Oh, I have a.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me that invoice and tell me where on that invoice it says it has to be delivered by a certain...
Nowhere on the invoice, ma'am.
It does not? Okay.
No.
So, it does not. But that was the document that was created at the time.
Yes, his manager gave to me after we paid.
Doesn't matter. That's what you accepted without anything else. That was the agreement. He was going to produce this video. Now, if you then say to him in a subsequent text, I need it by, and he agrees to it by, if we're going to modify that agreement, which was the invoice to produce a video, which he says that he has, and you say that you modified that agreement that he agreed to, I will look at that, and if you have it in a text message, I'll look at it. Can I see it?
Yes, ma'am. This is from his manager, Angie.
Who's Angie?
Claims videographer Chad Porter did not deliver the music video she paid for. Chad is countersuing for defamation of character.
Okay, so they sent you a preview of the video, full preview, and you wrote back, I hate it. Is that right?
Yes, they sent the preview.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in May.
Yes, ma'am.
That was in May. Yes. When did you advise them that you had the completed video?
Well, we never got to that point because I sent her a rough draft and I told her that we were going to make the final copy. And she took advantage of the one time that I went on vacation, and I made it clear when I was going on vacation I was turning my phone off and not taking my computer. And, you know, I would think that she would call Angie if an emergency happened.
Well, I don't care what you think. When did you get her or notify her that you had the final cut of the video?
I didn't because once she told me she was going to take me to court, I stopped everything. And because she was defaming my name so much, and
Okay, so she never got a final cut of the video.
No, ma'am.
All right, so she's entitled to her money back, $1,500. That's one. Now, the second part of this case is for defamation. So that resolved your $10,000 claim. You get your money back from him. Tell me about the defamation.
Okay, so once I think it was...
Date that you're claiming she defamed you.
The date that she defamed me was June 16th, which was 2 days after I went on vacation and made it clear that I didn't have my phone.
Don't tell me what you made clear. June 16th. I'd like you to show me what she said to defame you.
Okay. Okay, it's tons of stuff when she was defaming me, but...
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, it's clear that she's angry that she didn't get the video in time.
Excuse me.
And she didn't.
We never set an exact time?
Well, actually, somebody who works for you did.
Okay.
Because somebody looks like April 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, your video will be ready this week coming. You'll get a preview in a couple of days. Was that what you wrote to her?
Yes.
Yes. That's all. That's your agent. It's the same thing. So your agent suggested to her that...
Was she suggesting the draft, though?
The draft.
Yeah, she said, I'm just reading what I said here. Also, your video will be ready this week coming.
Yeah.
You'll get a preview in a couple of days. That's what it says.
Okay.
That didn't come to pass.
Okay.
Okay? And she's complaining about that. I mean, that was the end of April. Now we're talking about June 16th. There is a certain, I would assume, time frame in which you need one of these things in order to do with it what you wanted to do with it for publicity. So I don't see anything here that's purposefully defamatory. She paid you, or they paid you the money, the $1,500. They didn't get delivery on time. Right. It's irrelevant to me whether you go on vacation and turn your phone off and turn off your computer and turn off anything else. She was angry that she didn't get what was promised to her by your company. So your countersuit is dismissed. On the
May I say
plaintiff's...
one thing, though?
Yes, of course.
The thing is that, you know, by her telling everybody that I robbed her and I stole from her and that I'm a thief, that's not true. I sent her a copy, and... No, you didn't send her a copy when it was due. You didn't. You turned off your phone, you turned off your computer, and she didn't get anything for a month. So she didn't get anything for a month. Your agent said to her, you will get the video next week. That didn't happen. The fact that you went away on vacation is not relevant. Your counterclaim is dismissed. You own their $1,500 back. That's my judgment. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
No, we're finished.
Okay.
Excuse me, Judge Judy. The damages and losses for the $10,000 that we
$1,500. That's my judgment.
I receive it.
Good.
Thank
You
you.
don't get the video, though.
I'm fine. I didn't want to use it
Good.
anymore.
This way, sir.
I love your show.
Great.
And
Me
you
too.
Whatever the judge says is what I deserve.
I love Judge Judy, so I'm going to rock with you on that, Judy, because I got my money back.
I just really want to see her make it, since she's in her 40s now, so.
I'm not the only person. He done it to other artists in Houston as well.
She's known for scamming people, and it didn't work this time.
I still took a major, major loss.
$1,500 for a video, that's no problem. I don't mind that. She can have that.
His work just wasn't up to quality, and it wasn't for us, and it was a very horrible, horrible experience for me.
She hasn't even seen the final. The final looks so much better. The final looks fire.
It was horrible. It looked like it was Snapchat.
I'm glad that she said she can't have the video. I'm not blessing her with my skills.
I always have a delivery day and deliver, because he doesn't deliver, and many people know that he doesn't deliver.
I know that you and I may disagree on this point. The invoice is not really a contract, but this invoice had exactly what they were going to shoot, when they were going to shoot it, the amount of money that was paid. And in reliance on that invoice, plaintiff paid $1,500. The defendant, in reliance on the invoice, actually shot the video. The only thing that was missing in that invoice was the date of delivery. And if time was of the essence, that had to be in the contract.
I mean, it's always smart, especially if you're going to rely on a certain date. I think that's where we might have some disagreement, is I think that the plaintiffs detrimentally relied on that invoice. She booked event space for a listening party or viewing party that was never able to take place due to not receiving the video. So I think she also had a couple claims for getting paid back if she had already paid venues.
You mean damages other than the amount of money that she said? And I would agree with you. If the invoice had a date of delivery.
I think people far too often think that an invoice is a contract. When you come to a legal forum, that's not the case. And I think that to have both and to especially have dates on it, if that's important to you, and time is of the essence, I think that's the best lesson from that case.
Business owner Andre Mock for car repairs after his sign hit Tina's vehicle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1145, Fellows versus Mock.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mock, what kind of business do you have, sir?
I do power washing and leaf blowing bag as well as snow blowing.
Do you have a regular car or a van that you use?
I have a truck.
And you have signs on your truck?
Yes.
And on April 9th, 2021, you had signs on your truck that were magnetic?
I don't recall. At that time, I may have. But since then, I have went to stickers. So
Okay, but you did have magnetic signs on your truck.
at some point, yes.
And you had those signs on both sides of your truck?
Correct.
How large are they?
Say about 18 by 12 inches.
And those signs say the name of your business?
Correct.
And they say the telephone number, how to contact you?
Correct.
So you're advertising.
Correct.
Do you remember the date in April when this incident happened?
According to
them.
I don't.
You don't.
No.
But do you remember at some point on or about April 9th, you checked and you were missing one of your magnetic signs?
At some point in April, yes.
And that's because, according to Mr. and Mrs. Fellows, they're driving along, and one of those magnetic signs from your car went flying off your car and hit the mirror of their car, damaged their mirror. They want you to pay for the mirror. That's what this whole Geschichte is about, right? And they don't look like crazy people, and you don't look like a crazy person. So at some point, what they did, according to their complaint, Mr. Mock, is they drove up, because they're on a highway, and they drove up next to your car, and they wrote down the number from the magnet that hadn't flown off. So far, correct?
Actually, we took a picture.
Took a picture. Great.
We had a
Can I
magnet
see it,
on
please?
The other side, too. Yes.
Yeah, great. Photograph makes it so much easier. I got it. This is your sign, sir?
Yes.
Great.
And you can see him in the picture as well.
Yes. Got it.
Okay.
Okay? And so that's how they got your information.
Okay.
And then they called you.
Not immediately, no. But at some point, they did make contact with me.
Okay. And after you say that you were startled by something flying off and hitting the mirror, which could have been much more dangerous, these things that clearly then dangerous. Everybody should be on alert. They can fly off. Be aware. Accident looking to happen. You examined your car. And what did you find?
We found that there was a piece on the mirror that was broken. I have a picture of that as well.
I'd like to see it.
And I would like to say the reason we didn't call right away, when I have a chance, Judge.
Yeah.
You can see the magnet that's stuck in the mirror there.
Oh, gee whiz.
Your Honor, may I see those
Absolutely.
as well?
Absolutely.
And we had emailed these to the defendant, Your Honor.
Did you ever see them?
And we exchanged emails as far as that goes. I actually seen the picture of me, but I did not see the other ones. And as I was attempting to receive counsel myself, as far as those goes, I asked them to
That's your sign in the mirror.
And we actually have the
That's a
sign.
piece.
We have the piece of the sign as well.
Oh, Kevin,
So I
would you-
asked them to send me these
just
pictures.
a second. Would you show that to Mr. Mock while you're there so you don't have to make 2 trips? Got it?
Yep.
Okay. So you see, they come prepared.
Right.
Great. So these are the photographs of your sign in their window. This is clearly your sign.
It looks like it.
You can see the little tree
Yeah,
matched to the picture.
I see it. Of course he sees it. Okay. And how much is it going to cost to fix the mirror? He's responsible for that. He knows that.
Written estimate we finally received from the dealership where I bought the car was $726.11. I have an estimate. If
May I
could-
see?
And I also do have a reason that we had an initial different price, so it was kind of a long saga.
And what year car is it?
It's a 2020 Subaru Crosstrek, my very first brand new car I ever bought.
Right, our mirror assembly, glass, and trim.
Which it has the blind spot sensor in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's why it's so expensive.
You're entitled to have a perfect mirror. You don't have to have it fixed and polished up. It's a brand new car. Okay, now you're going to tell me why you waited and why you gave him a lower estimate.
So when it first happened, of course, we didn't know. We're driving, 65 miles an hour on the
We're
freeway.
past that already.
So we didn't know
we
there was damage.
have confirmed liability.
Okay.
Do you understand that? We have confirmed liability. This came off of your car. You're liable. Period.
Based on the dates that they gave you, I can't confirm or deny that.
Just a second.
That I was there.
You don't have to confirm or deny.
Or what date they
That's
gave.
what I'm here for. That's what they pay me all this money for.
Right.
I'm telling you, there are two parts of a civil case: whether you're responsible for something, and if you are responsible for it, what the damages are. That's the two parts of a civil case. They've already, in my judgment, met their burden to show that on the 9th of April, this piece from your car on the other side flew off and damaged their car. So liability is finished.
I have something to say. So April 9th, can you ask them to confirm at what time? Because I'm a school teacher as well, so I own my own business.
Listen to me. You're in the car, sir. You're in the car.
Right. So my magnet did fall off the car, but that doesn't necessarily state that my magnet came in contact with their car, and that's just not, I mean, I don't.
Mr. Mack, I don't care what you think. If you're a school teacher, I'm worried for the kids. I've explained it to you very carefully, Mr. Mack. I've explained it to you. This plus this plus this establishes your liability. Period. The only question is damages. Now, in this case, the car is a new car. If the mirror was at all damaged, they're entitled to have a new mirror.
And which I tried to do.
Just a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I've said to you is two parts: liability, damages. How do I know for sure it was your sign that came off your car that they retrieved from their mirror that looks exactly like your sign on April 9th? How do I know that? I know that because it's common sense. And the law is not supposed to be an ass. Teach that to your children.
I'll try. Thank you.
Okay? So the question is one of damages. Okay. Now, you were going to tell me, Ms. Fellows, without any drama and without any hearsay, why it took you time to call him.
Okay.
And why you initially gave him a lower estimate.
Okay. We were on our way to our church meeting, so when we got there, we saw the damage. So the next day, we called Jermaine Subaru, and my husband tried to explain over the phone what the part was. At that time, the person thought that they
Don't
knew.
tell me. You see, now you're telling me hearsay.
Okay.
And you can't.
They said it's
you can't do that. You can't
but I'm
do
just
that.
trying to explain why with the hesitation.
Okay.
So they
he
said
had
it was a
just
$20
second.
part.
You keep trying to talk faster to me, Miss Fellows. But what I'm telling you is, whether you talk faster or not, I'm not paying attention to what you're saying that involves hearsay.
All right.
Now, if what you're telling me is that the first time you took the car into Jermaine Subaru, which is where you purchased the car, and they gave you this estimate, was the first written estimate that you got, I accept that. Don't tell me. My husband spoke to somebody on the phone. They described what the problem was. They gave him an estimate of. You can't do that. Okay. That's hearsay.
Okay.
So the next day you took it into Jermaine Subaru, okay, and you called the defendant. So that would have been the 10th or 11th.
The first time we called him, I left him a very detailed message. And
What
he did
date?
Not, he
What
never
date?
called me back.
What date?
April 10th.
Did you not call her back?
I did not receive a phone call nor a voicemail from her.
Okay, then I don't have to deal any further with this case, sir. No. Then you have to pay for new mirror $726.11.
Now, after that, we did have a conversation over the phone.
Okay, well, after that, let's be clear. She said she left you a detailed message. Mm-hmm. Whether you received that message and decided to blow it off, I don't know. But I guarantee you that the next communication she initiated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the next communication, you did answer the phone or you called her back?
No, I answered the phone. I believe so, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the two of you spoke.
Right.
Is that when she gave you a lower estimate?
I don't recall, but she did give me details about her taking pictures and.
Did she tell you she took the car into Jermaine?
I can't recall, but.
Then I'm going to go back to what I said 5 minutes ago. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $726.11.
Ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The first initial estimate was $240.
We're done. We're done, Mr. Mark. We're finished. Do you understand? Do you understand two things? Just pay attention. And what you have to teach your students, if you're a teacher, is when something happens that is more your fault than somebody else's fault, what you're supposed to do is take responsibility, not stand here and say, well, I'm not 100% sure that it was the 9th. When did I have the decals? And I'm not exactly sure. And then she calls you, leaves you a detailed message. You don't call her back. She has a repair estimate from Germain. They are a reputable.
May I see that?
Absolutely.
And I've tried to call this guy, and he hasn't returned my phone calls.
I don't know whether that's true or not, and I don't care.
Business owner Andre Mock owes for car repairs after his sign hit Tina's vehicle.
Now, all you have to do, sir, is either you have an expert here or you have for me something that is the cost price of a new mirror for a 2020 Subaru automobile. I don't have to have that evidence. You did. And if you want to dispute this, do it. You can't tell me I tried to call him, he didn't call you back. That's ridiculous. We're done here, Mr. Mock. It's a ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You are taking a ridiculous position. We're finished.
Court is adjourned.
Outside.
But the one we got over the phone, the person didn't understand what part we were talking about.
It went from $20 to $240 to $250.
And so then they gave the cost for just the parts. The final estimate was for the parts and labor, everything.
It's like a $500 difference between the two estimates. So.
And we wouldn't have had to go that far if I didn't have to take him to court and get that evidence.
This is the first time I've ever seen those pictures. So if that would have been the case back then.
It really was his. I mean, we took the picture. You can see him in the car when we took the picture.
I definitely would have took the responsibility and accepted the fact that that my magnet did that damage.
And we were not trying to inflate the cost or anything like that. It was just an honest thing of going back to the dealership and getting that complete estimate.
So that case reminded me of a lesson I learned from my father, which was, if it's more your fault than my fault, just take ownership, take responsibility. And that came after I got into an accident on the highway where someone hit my car. And I came home and said to Dad, Dad, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. And he said, hold on. Is it more your fault than my fault? Because I was at home watching a movie. So would you say that I have to deal with this or you have to deal with this? And I said, you know what, you're right. And I think this is a good case of that, is even if it's not your
intention,
fault, not your
it's
intention,
not your intention,
you still need to take responsibility.
It may not be your intention, but the damage was your fault. You chose to put on these magnets instead of decals, but they can be dangerous. And if they damage somebody else's property, like here, there's no question of liability. Yeah. The question was damages. And it's a brand new car. They're entitled to have a brand new mirror.
I agree.
That's it. Your father's right.
Case number 1147, Sanchez versus Sharif. All parties, please step forward.
Veronica Sanchez is suing tax preparer Darlene Sharif for the cost of legal document services and the loss of revenue.
Ms. Sanchez, what kind of business were you starting?
I was purchasing a chiropractic and acupuncture business.
Were you purchasing it from someone who had an existing practice?
Correct. The existing practice was a chiropractor, and I am an acupuncturist, so I had to purchase it from a chiropractor.
And was the chiropractor retiring?
Chiropractor was leaving the state.
So in effect, you were taking over his lease?
No, because since I'm an acupuncturist and they're a chiro, I did not purchase the business. I was purchasing the goodwill, so I started a brand new lease.
What was the name of the business?
Her business was called Inner Movement Wellness, a chiropractic corporation.
How much did you pay her for the name Inner Movement Wellness?
I paid $220,000.
And you signed a new lease with the landlord?
Correct. I have the lease, yes.
Just a second.
But now instead of Inner Movement Wellness, a chiropractic, it's Inner Movement Wellness and Acupuncture, a professional corporation.
Were you represented by an attorney in this $220,000
yes.
negotiation?
Yes.
And the name of that attorney was what?
Lee.
How much did you pay Mr. Lee?
We together paid him $6,000.
When?
June 7th.
Of this year?
Correct.
And you signed the lease when?
June 1st.
Now, you retained the defendant to file papers for you so that you could start to do business as Inner Movement Wellness, only you had to change it to an acupuncture. Is it a corporation or an LLC?
The acupuncture board says it has to say a professional corporation.
Okay. And when you hire the defendant, she's not a lawyer, she just prepares papers.
Well, she had done my son's nonprofit.
You know, she was not a lawyer.
Correct.
Mr. Lee was your lawyer.
Correct.
So she was supposed to file to get papers for you so that you could start your business.
So I can open up a bank account and start my business, yes.
On what date did you make initial contact with her? With regard?
On or about May 3rd or 4th, but I went into her office on May 7th.
Okay, this is what your case is about. We're going to go step by step. Went into her office on May 7th. You signed the lease on June 1st.
Correct.
You say the paperwork, because of her negligence, was delayed several months so that you paid rent for June and July. Did you ever get the paperwork from the state?
Yes, I did.
On what date?
June 30th, I received a workable S-Corp, but to this date, I don't have a DBA. To this date.
Just a second. So her work got you the paperwork that you needed to work by June 30th.
But she had promised to expedite it.
Okay, she promised to expedite it, madam. It's COVID. Nobody is working. You can't even get a license plate. So what you're suing for is the return of what you paid her, right? Despite the fact that you got your paperwork, and for your potential lost income for a month.
Actually, I'm only asking for just 3 days, not the whole month of June.
She's not paying you for that.
Okay.
Just understand this. She's not paying you for your potential lost income.
Well, I paid 3 times the normal going rate. My accountant was going to do it for $800.
Listen, you can't tell me what your accountant was going to do it for.
Well, no, it's the going rate.
Just a second. And you can't tell me what the going rate is. You don't have experts here.
I Googled
it. I don't care what you Googled. What I'm telling you is, if you can establish some sort of negligence on her part, and it has to be a serious negligence, most you can get is some sort of a refund from her.
Well, I tried to
ask for one. Don't speak. Just listen. Because she got you what you asked for. She got you the ability to work in a business in a relatively short period of time. Now, the only thing that I want you to show me is you filled out paperwork on May 7th. I would like to see the paperwork that you filled out with her in the office, because you say that because of her negligence, that paperwork came back once.
It came back 3 times.
Or it came back 3 times. So let me see what you filled out the first time. No, don't give me 3 letters. I want to see what you filled out with her. May I see that, please? So you went to her office and you told her that the name of your business was Inner Movement Wellness, a professional corporation. That's what...
Okay, I told her I needed an expert to help me because it was very...
No.
Claims tax preparer Darlene Sharif owes for the cost of legal document services after making several mistakes.
Now, you have to understand, this is what it's all about. You tell her what the name of your business is.
But if she's an expert and is supposed to be able to help somebody who doesn't know anything about this, she's also supposed to guide me, and she didn't guide me correctly.
So, Ms. Sanchez, you told her that the name of your business, because you bought for $220,000, Inner Movement Wellness, a professional corporation.
And I also...
Actually, just a second. Actually, what I find fascinating is you bought the goodwill of a chiropractor who had been in the same location, and you bought that goodwill, and the chiropractor did not have an acupuncturist there.
There is an acupuncturist there.
Did that acupuncturist come with you?
The acupuncturist continues to work there, yes.
With you?
Yes.
How many people work there?
I have 11 employees.
How many did you bring with you?
None.
They were all there?
Yes.
Now I got it. So, Ms. Sharif, did you get anything back from the state with regard to this application?
For the fictitious business name?
Yes.
No, it goes directly to my client.
It went directly to Ms. Sanchez?
Yes, it did. And
well, can I see it? Does somebody have it? Did they not accept it? What is the current name of the company?
To answer your question to the best of my ability, on June 30th, I did get the S-Corp, and I do have this, but since she was going through a third-party legal Zoom, which I could have done myself...
Listen, You have to understand something. I don't care
Okay.
if what she went through was LegalZoom or any other app that gives lay people an opportunity to fill out paperwork. And if she decides to be an intermediary between you and LegalZoom or you and somebody else, that's her business. And if after it's all over you say, well, I could have filled out the same paperwork, so I want my money back, that doesn't happen.
No, but
that doesn't happen.
That's not why
I don't know what you want. You filled out these papers, and you have to show me where she did something wrong. Seems to me somebody who's paying $220,000 for a practice keeps the same lawyer. If they want a lawyer, if you want to do it on the cheap, you do it on the cheap. How much did she charge you for this?
She charged well above and beyond.
Don't chatter.
$2,600.
Okay, so she charged you almost half of that to get you the paperwork to operate as a business. That sounds penny wise and pound foolish to me. And the reason I'm short with you is you got what you paid for. You got the paperwork. And if my feeling is correct, it may not be, you're annoyed because you could have done the same thing through LegalZoom.
That's not why.
Now I'm going to see.
That's not why. It's because she promised expedited service, and it took months.
No, it didn't take months. Because once you fill it out and file it, somebody's got to look at it. Now let me see the first letter. No, don't give me 3 pieces of paper. Give me the first letter that you got from them, which is what she said you got. And initially you said you did not. Okay, so you have to understand, this came to you on June 1st, which means it took somebody in Los Angeles County, because this was sent in right away.
Right.
It took them almost a month to read it and respond to you. That's just a
June
second.
1st.
Just a second. That's not her fault.
No, I agree.
No. Great.
But had she done it right, had that been right, I could have started then right there.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. If my parents had been taller, I may have been taller than 5 feet tall. That's a possibility. And my brother is 5'9". I could have been 5'9", and he could have been 5 foot tall. That's a shoulda, woulda, coulda.
But also to promise expedited service when somebody's like struggling to purchase a business and keep things going.
Ms. Sanchez, you have absolutely no case. You were up and running for business on June 30th, according to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the thing that you don't have is a DBA, which you have not received yet. Well, so far you have something pending with the Department of State, I assume, and that's doing business as.
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you hire somebody else and they're able to, during this time when people are not in state offices, if you hire somebody else to get your DBA and pay them, you're free to come back to me and say, she was supposed to get me the DBA, and she didn't. For whatever reason, I had to hire somebody else and pay them. Then I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Right now, she has paid to get you up and running in your business. You have 11 employees who have been working for you for almost 4 months. As a result of this work that she did, she got you what you needed to conduct your business.
But it wasn't timely.
Goodbye. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
It's just unfortunate during these COVID times when mom and pops are trying to do their best.
Tell you, I really, really worked hard on her case.
That we still have people that want to take advantage and charge high prices.
But she just was very persistent and
overcharge and underdeliver.
I'm sorry that she's unhappy.
And waste people's time.
Judy Justice, she did me well.
You know, I actually came away with 2 things. I think that the plaintiff was unreasonable. The process was completed enabling her to work in less than 60 days. That would be a reasonable period of time, even if it wasn't for COVID. The defendant enabled her, through her work, nobody else's work, to hire, employ, and make a living within 7 weeks of their meeting.
Yeah, almost impressive during COVID that it got done.
Almost impressive. So she's being unreasonable. And I honestly believe that her issue was that she could have done the same thing and filled out the same forms as the defendant did for probably $200. And the defendant charged her either $2,400 or $2,600. So she felt as if she was being scammed because she could have done it herself. Well, that's on you.
Yeah, that's something you want to look into before you engage with someone for their services.
Right. And she knew she wasn't a lawyer because, according to her, She had done work for the family before. I was unsympathetic.
Suing ticket seller Raven Walker for a refund of music festival tickets.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 1167, Oku Mamboa versus Walker.
That's a mouthful. Oku Mamboa.
Moaboa.
How about O?
Yeah, that works, Jackie O.
Does that work? Does that work for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss O, tell me about this concert you wanted to attend.
It is a music festival. It's called Rolling Loud. They have different locations. Basically, once the state started lifting their quarantine orders, the one in Miami was the first one that occurred. So that happened in July of this year, 2021.
And that was the concert you wanted to attend?
That was the concert I wanted to attend.
According to your complaint, you purchased tickets from the defendant, sent her money. She never sent her tickets. She says you never sent her the money. That's what the case is about. How did you locate the tickets?
What do you mean by locate the tickets?
If I want tickets to, I don't go to music festivals. I'm much too old for music festivals. But if I wanted theater tickets, I call the box office, ticket agent. But I know that young people do things differently today. Their lives and their worlds are all tied up in the internet. So just to educate myself.
Okay, so there's a lot of ways to purchase tickets. You can either go to the hosting website, which is the Rolling Loud. You can also go through third parties' website. And then the one
How do you get to the third party website?
You can Google.
You just go to the website.
And depending on what concert you want to go to, you can just type it in and it will pull up like pricings. And that way, people who want to sell their tickets, I'm able to see them and I can pay for them and then have them get sent to me.
Is that what you did with the defendant?
No, what I did, and I was going to...
So eliminate number one and number two.
Yes, so I went the route of joining a private group via Facebook.
And what's the name of the private group?
Rolling Loud.
Okay, Rolling Loud.
Yes.
I'd just like to see what that looks like if it still exists.
Sure. It does.
It does?
Yes.
Just so that I understand it.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You can always learn something.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a couple different groups. The one she's talking about is a private group, but it looks like a few of them have been taken down since then, since the event has already happened.
Right, that's what I thought. But could I just take a look and see what it looks like?
Sure. So this is the official Facebook page. And then you can go to who else is following this page, that many people, and they create their own private groups in order to exchange tickets or sell them.
Okay. And is that how you found the defendant?
Yes.
On what date?
I believe my first day of talking with her was June 4th. I don't know.
Speaking to her over the internet? Or?
Over the internet, through Facebook, yes. I responded to her Facebook post. She had mentioned she had 2 VIP.
Do you have that Facebook post?
I don't have the Facebook post. I just have the messages that me and her exchanged.
May I see it?
Yes, you may.
Where do you live, by the way, Miss O?
I stay in Monterey Park, California.
And you?
St. Louis, Missouri.
What was wrong with your car, Miss Walker?
I was having transmission issues, or what I thought at the time was transmission issues.
How did that manifest itself?
Just, it wasn't running properly.
How do you think I knew you were having car trouble?
Because it was in the messages.
No, your messages are deleted.
Okay.
Hers aren't. You can't delete her messages, but you deleted yours.
Yes, ma'am.
So how do you think I know you had car trouble?
I'm not quite sure. It might have been something that I wrote in the Rolling Loud chat that I was having car troubles, and that's why I was trying to sell the tickets.
No.
That I'm not 100% sure.
No, I'm only looking at the text messages. Hers that you didn't delete, but yours that you did delete.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to dwell on that for a moment before you give me the next couple of answers. How did I know that you were having car trouble when you purposely deleted all your messages to her?
I don't know.
I understand that you don't know. I want you to think about how I knew you had car trouble with your car when you don't say it in here. Think about that.
Okay.
I hope it makes you uncomfortable for the next couple of minutes. So you were going to go with a friend, and each of you were paying half of the money. The 2 tickets were $1,500, which the defendant needed to pay for her car.
Correct.
Which wasn't working.
Yeah.
You have proof to me that you sent her the money for the
I
ticket?
sure do.
I'd like to see it.
So I made my payments via Cash App. I also have her confirmation of her sending me the money, and then I sent the whole...
I see it in
okay.
your texts to her. Mm-hmm. You got your money first, and you were waiting for your friends, sent your friends. She was at work. She'd be home in 15 minutes.
Correct, yes.
Okay, now I'm waiting for your story. Make it a good one, Miss Walker. Make it one that this face that knew you were having car trouble is going to believe and understand.
I met her through the Facebook group, like she mentioned. We messaged for probably about a week, I will say, just back and forth. We talked about her sending me the money. I am aware that her friend was going to send me the other half. We talked about the address that I was supposed to send the tickets to, all this other stuff. She never sent me the money, and that's why nothing came of it.
Explain to me why you deleted your texts.
Because she was someone that I wasn't talking to anymore. There was
Jacqueline Okumwabwa claims ticket seller Raven Walker is responsible for the cost of music festival tickets she never received.
What I want to know is, say to myself, self, why would I go through the trouble of just deleting my answers to somebody's texts? Why would I do that? We're going to do a survey here, Miss Walker.
Okay.
We have a gallery. We have 4 people here. I know this person intimately. I know that she uses her machine to communicate with the majority of the world. I don't know about Whitney that much. She's a tad older, but still uses the internet. Mm-hmm. Kevin, I'm not so sure how often he uses the internet. Feeling he'd rather be puttering around this house, fixing things, but maybe once in a while. And I don't know about the people here, but I see a lot of young people. I want anybody to raise their hand if they've ever just deleted their portion of a conversation that they've had with somebody. Just their portion of the conversation, leaving only the dialogue of the other person. Has anybody ever done that? Look around. Not a soul. Do you know why?
Can I explain why I did it?
You just told me why you did it. You want to read back to me, Whitney, why she told me she did it? Just not logical, right?
Deleting the whole conversation.
Yeah, delete the whole conversation, maybe.
So you asked her, explain to me why you deleted your text. She said, because she was someone that I wasn't talking to anymore.
That's exactly right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of, you sent $1,500?
Yes, I did.
$1,500. And she sent you no tickets?
She sent me no tickets.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She didn't send me any money, so it sucks that I have to give her something that I didn't receive.
Judge Judy, she saw the receipts for herself, so.
My transactions for my Cash App, there was nothing ever sent on that day. There was nothing ever sent, period.
Unfortunately, you gotta reap what you sow at some point, right?
Did you ever buy anything from a private person on the internet?
I personally have not. I'll buy them direct from the website, as she was mentioning. I've used those, but never just on Facebook or Craigslist or anything like that.
If you buy from a private person, what recourse do you have if you don't get the merchandise that you've agreed to?
Honestly, that's why I don't do it. I don't believe there really is one. And I think that someone who wants to get around the system and potentially scam people, that's the easiest way to do it.
I remember one case we had years and years ago, Sarah. Somebody advertising had a photo of the most current iPhone with a price. Mm-hmm. And the plaintiff sent the money for the phone and in return got the photograph of the phone.
I've seen many stories like that.
That was the case. And she said, well, that's what I was selling. It was a photograph of a phone. And I said, this is a cautionary tale to anybody who purchases things from unknown people where you have no recourse.
I agree.
Case number 1166, David versus Paz. Please step forward.
Sherman Davis is suing furniture stager Julio Paz for storage fees and the cost of furniture.
Mr. Davis, let me see if I can briefly state what I believe your cause of action is. I believe your cause of action is in contract. Now, you own a property. Some 3 years ago, you asked the defendant, who was in the business of staging with furniture properties for the purposes of being either sold or rented, you asked him to stage an 8-room property. And you signed a contract, and the defendant did, in fact, stage a property that you wanted to rent.
That's
so
correct.
far correct? You have to say this is both video and audio, so you can't?
Yes.
Yes. Good. What?
It's a small misunderstanding there in the sense that I sold it to him. I didn't stage it.
Do you have a contract?
Yeah,
Right. I'm surprised you don't have a copy of this contract. You're in business.
Oh, I have it right here.
So you have it on your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice if you printed it out so that you had it. That would have been smart, because you're dealing with somebody who is not a millennial, who likes to see things that I can touch, that I can bang. If it's in the phone, I don't have it. In any event, you signed a contract, you staged it, that was 3 years ago. He says within 3 years you had an agreement, and it's in the contract, that you would buy back the furniture for which he paid $10,000
That's correct.
from him for $3,500. And he advised you within that 3-year period that he wanted to exercise that part of the contract that says that you would buy back the furniture for $3,500, and you declined to do that. And as an excuse for declining to do that, I'm just telling you what his claim is, you say that he moved the furniture from where you had originally staged it someplace else. And that was your reason for not honoring the contract to buy back the furniture. Do I have that right?
Part of it.
What part is wrong?
That I never refused not to buy the furniture from him. On the contrary, I wanted to buy it. It was a great situation for us to buy it at the price we were buying it, only 30 cents on the dollar.
So?
Well, when he finally contacted me about the house being back off the market, or that he has sold it, that he would like to exercise the option for me to buy it, I said, sure, give me a couple of days. I'm doing a couple of stagings. We'll come by, check it out. If everything is in good condition, we'll buy it all. If not, we'll buy the pieces that are still, because it's been 3 years. So what happened, he goes, well,
that's
we're
not
gonna
what
have
the
to meet in
contract
storage.
says.
And I go, in storage? He goes, yeah, everything is in lockers. And I say, in lockers? I say, how do you expect me to inspect it if you put it in lockers and all the comforters and everything in boxes? You're going to have to take it out of the locker and put it anywhere that we can inspect it, because I'm not going to buy this lot blind.
Well, I have
like
to
you
see what the
expected me.
contract. I have to see what the contract says.
Yeah, we have a list of the furniture
Just a
and the
second.
items. Okay.
May I see it, please? May I
Yep.
No, I want to see the contract.
Yes, that's a contract
Great.
with the list of
Just a second.
furniture that he provided.
Okay. So let's go back just for a second. You did this contract in 2018. As it turned out, according to what I read in your complaint, your tenant didn't want the furniture.
Correct.
So you took out the furniture.
Yes.
And that was in 2018.
Yes.
What did you do with the furniture, Mr. Davis?
So the plan was...
I don't want to know what the plan was. I want to know he put the furniture in 8 rooms. You took the furniture out because the tenant said, I don't want that. I have my own furniture, whatever it is. I want to know in 2018, because I read everything. And I pick up nuances. What did you do with the furniture in 2018?
Claims furniture stager Julio Paz broke their agreement when he refused to buy back staging furniture from Sherman.
Now, what did you do?
The original intent of the furniture...
I don't care what the intent was. It went into a staged unit for you to sell. That's what it was. Paid $10,000 for it. The tenant didn't want it. I'm not going to ask you the question again while you figure out what you're going to say to me. What you're going to say to me is the truth. What did you do with the furniture in 2018?
We moved the furniture out.
To where?
To a storage unit.
Immediately from the apartment house, the 8 rooms, you moved the furniture to a storage unit.
Yes.
What month and year?
The tenant occupied our house on December 21st, 2018. Oh my God. I have the lease agreement states that they moved in on December 21st.
Just a second. When did you put the furniture in storage?
So the furniture was put in storage the week prior to when they moved in.
So 12/10/2018. And it has remained in storage ever since?
Yes.
It has not been moved from the original storage unit?
No, it's been there the whole entire time.
Okay, so let's see what it says. Oh, well, there is a caveat here.
May I say something?
No.
He wasn't
This is-
truthful to me. He didn't.
You asked me if you can say something. I said no. What part of no didn't you understand?
Okay, Your Honor.
Maybe your wife doesn't let you do that. Not
She
me.
left me for that too many years ago. Your Honor.
Well, there's a reason.
I got an ADDA, so it's hard for me to listen. Sorry.
Is the furniture still in storage?
Yes.
Then how do you expect him to satisfy a condition of this agreement, Mr. Davis? This was a simple contract agreement. I was absolutely prepared to rule in your favor. Furniture should be in good, reasonable condition. How do you expect him to view furniture that has been packed in storage to see if it's in good and reasonable condition?
The furniture's there for him to come out to.
Oh,
inspect
no. That's not on him. That's on you.
The furniture was never used, though. We just moved the furniture from the house to the storage
You're asking him to believe that that's true. He's allowed to see whether mice got in the furniture in storage in 3 years, whether it's got mold and mildew after 3 years. It's your responsibility, yours, to lay it all out so that he can come and look at it, and then you fulfill that provision of the contract. He says he'll buy it back. It has to be in good and reasonable condition.
And I was willing to do that. But
Well, then I tell you what you do. You arrange for all the furniture to be unpacked in a location where he can view it and see that it is in good and reasonable condition, not eaten by rats, has no mold, has no mildew. All 8 rooms laid out, and you do that within 5 days.
Okay.
And
I'd love to buy it, Your Honor. Furniture prices went up 40% right now, so I'll get a great deal. Love to buy it from you. ADHD, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I apologize. My bad. My son's girlfriend warned me that I shouldn't interrupt you because her grandmother watched you for many years and you will get angry, and I can't believe I'm doing it. She put it on my notes. Do not interrupt her. I apologize.
Well, she should have
Sorry,
added, do
Kate.
not interrupt her, especially when it appears
She
to be you're
also
winning.
told me-
Do not interrupt her. When it appears you get exactly what you want. So, these are the ground rules. If you want him to buy back the furniture within 5 days from today, you arrange for the furniture to come out of storage. You give him 48 hours notice where the furniture will be totally laid out. You may have to rent a stage somewhere for a day. That's going to cost you money. But he doesn't have to buy a pig in a poke. And there's a condition precedent in your contract that the furniture has to be in good condition. Now, as far as I'm concerned, once your tenant didn't want the furniture, instead of putting it in storage, you're going to make the money up from the tenant anyway. You say to him then, in December, listen, before I put it in storage, you say you'd buy it back for $3,500. I'm prepared to eat the loss because I'm going to make it up in rent over the next 12 months. Instead, you put it in storage. He's not responsible for your storage. So within 5 days from today, on 48 hours notice, you're going to lay out all the furniture. If you don't do that, you don't get your money. Then it's your furniture. Do you understand?
yes, but what about the
Perfect.
storage fees?
He's not responsible for your storage fees. That's my ruling. I'm abiding by the terms of the written contract that you signed with him. Do you understand?
Okay.
Perfect. That's the ruling. You'll get a copy of it. Goodbye. Who was it? Your sister told you to be quiet?
I'm sorry?
Your sister!
No, it's my son's daughter.
I don't care.
girlfriend that
I withdraw that question. I don't care.
Court is adjourned.
When he actually contacted me recently, all he told me was the house was sold. Now when I exercise my option for you to buy it.
Well, it's a little frustrating because I did reach out to him.
And he actually blamed me that the reason it was in storage was because I didn't get back to him quick, which was not true either.
About a year later, and he declined to come and pick up the furniture.
If I get the furniture, it will be a good thing for me because the furniture prices are super high because of the problem with the shipping overseas.
I mean, it's very